following is an ESPN special presentation.
ESPN, the Total Sports Network, and the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews, Scotland are proud to bring you live second-round coverage of the 121st British Open. In Scotland, they like to say, "Nae wind, nae golf." Well, this morning, the British Open began in earnest. As you can see, the wind has picked up here at the famed Muirfield Links, site of the 1992 Open. And many of the 147 bunkers here are cavernous. But any shallower, and those coastal winds coming off the Firth would scatter that sand halfway across the Atlantic. And today, the boys have been battling the elements, but there is no rain in our forecast here at Muirfield. No, the promise for that is over the weekend. But the winds have been gusting close to 20 miles an hour all day long. And the leaderboard will tell you the story. John Cook, with a fabulous 67, moves to the top. And he has been tied by the young Scotsman Gordon Brand Jr., both at -9. Raymond Floyd playing even pars at -7. Steve Pate, a co-leader yesterday, yet to start, nor has Ian Woosnam. Nick Faldo also due to get underway this afternoon. Jose Maria Olazabal of Spain playing brilliantly here today in the wind, as did Tom Purtzer of the United States, fashioning a fine 69. Ernie Els, the powerful South African, will start later. Sandy Lyle had a good round today, and he now is 4 under for the tournament. Craig Perry of Australia still to start. Steve Elkington, who plays in the United States Tour, but who grew up in Australia, 4 under through 17. Mark Calcavecchia, a former British Open champion, now 4 under through 7. And Lee Jansen is 4 under through 3. Now, along with Steve Melnick, let's take a look at how some of this unfolded here earlier today. It was Raymond Floyd in a group that teed off at 7:45, came to the 15th, 1 over for the day, and this was his second shot, Steve.
Relatively easy par 4 under ordinary circumstances, but played into a stiff headwind today.
Treacherous shot here. He has to come up and over the mound. Raymond, though, if nothing else, possesses one of the finest short games in the world.
In fact, the players themselves voted Raymond's short game as the best on tour.
So he left himself with this distance, needing this putt to stay at the moment, remember, at 6 under par. This from very early today. Raymond was in a trio, the 4th group to start today.
Raymond very steady over his putts, wind buffeting him all day, but he's got a very short, definitive stroke, perfect for wind play.
And one of the first from that distance that he was able to bury. Missed several on the front 9 that would have really lit up the scoreboard here at Muirfield. Now here at the 16th, Raymond Floyd, this for the birdie.
This is a par 3, plays downwind. Raymond thought maybe the wind might help him a little bit.
He left the number of just a little short today, Steve. But then at 17, and that was the par 5, it was Floyd making his move. Here is the second shot.
This par 5 reachable in 2 by just about every player in the field today playing dead downwind. Raymond with a poor drive, though, Brent, and had to lay up short. This flagstick may be the toughest spot on the green, right in the front 3rd. Green actually slopes away from you.
So much confidence in his wedge work. He didn't even bother with the putter. He just put it in there that tight, made the putt for the birdie, and that got him even again on his round, and he was able to come through even par at the 18th. Now we've got to take a look at John Cook. Here he is at the tee at 13, playing brilliantly earlier today, Steve.
Another downwind par 3. The bounce comes into play here. He left himself, Brent, in a tough spot, missed his tee shot. Really had a tough up and down from short right of the green. You see a lot of players this week on this tight turf going with a putter.
wants to be up above it there on that par 3, is it? At the time, Cook was 9 under par, was in the lead. Gave one back and fell to 8 under. But then, Steve, he moved on down the course to that point where you said the fellows were attacking all morning long.
If you don't make birdie at 17, you feel like you've left a stroke, maybe 2 to the field out there. A bogey is an unpardonable score. So much wind behind him, Brent. That was a 5-iron for Cook out of the light rough. Found the front of the putting surface.
Had this for an eagle on the 17th.
Amazingly, Brent, playing in only his 2nd British Open. Came here in 1980, has not been back since.
And made that for the birdie. Went back to 9 under, a par on the 18th, a round of 67. But then it was Gordon Brand Jr. Why is he Gordon Brand Jr.? Because he isn't. The press dubbed him that to differentiate from the other Gordon Brand on the tour. The young man who plays very well in the wind, according to Peter Allis, who had coverage earlier today on the BBC. And you can see him in action right there. That at 13, his tee shot.
An incredible amount of pressure as he carries with him the hopes of Scots everywhere that a Scot will win this event.
Now he hit a fairway wood in, this for a birdie.
Toughest hole on the entire golf course. He plays a beautiful drive, great second shot, an even better putt for birdie, one of the few of the entire tournament.
So again, where we stand right now, Cook and Brand at 9 under, 2 up on Raymond Floyd, who has finished for the day, and Steve Pate, who is about to get started here this afternoon. So good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brett Musburger, and on the front 9, Raymond Floyd made a save on the first of the par 5s here at Muirfield that will probably live on in his memory, certainly over the weekend, if he makes a move at this championship. He hit his tee shot into one of the cavernous bunkers. He got too ambitious with his second, couldn't get it out. With his third, because he had such an atrocious lie, he had to just pitch it back out of the fairway. He then took a 5-iron, and with the wind at his back, he hit it better than 200 yards to within a foot and a half for the hole, made the putt, stayed at level par, finally gave one away at 10. Then you saw him get it back, and that's where the great veteran stands right now. But let's check some other American stories, some of the better-known fellas, and some of them have already finished their second round. And unhappily, Fred Couples has not made the cut. He wound up with a triple bogey here on the finishing 18th hole. Might not have made it anyway, but that ruined any other chance that he might have had. And the United States Open champ, Tom Kite, though, he is lurking right there, 3 under, and a splendid round for him after he bogeyed the first hole today. Davis Love, he's headed for the airport as he winds up 7 over. Mark O'Meara, though, he'll play over the weekend, and so too will Corey Pavin. Remember, because John Cook is in at 9 under, they have the 10-stroke rule here at the British Open, so Corey Pavin plays on the weekend. And Jeff Sluman will have to wait and see where the cut finally falls. Payne Stewart gets by to the Saturday and Sunday play. So that's Steve Melnick. Just a few of the headline stories here today. And I guess, you know, so many of the golf fans, especially myself, I came here expecting great things out of Freddie Couples and Davis Love. They really have been a bit of a disappointment, haven't they, since the spring? What's gone on here?
Well, they're disappointment to themselves. You know, Freddie is really a surprise. He came here with 2 top 10 finishes, most recently 3rd at the Western Open. Davis hadn't played well since the middle of the year, and he came here thinking he might play well, but anytime the wind blows like this, it seems to amplify your bad swings. They both have to be disappointed, as they were the marquee players, clearly the marquee players among the Americans gathered here this week. But they've got the weekend off, Brent. They'll be watching us.
Well, let's show them. Well, they won't get back in time, but here are our featured players this afternoon. Billy Andrade, Mark Kalkovecki, and Mark James. They have already started. Those are their tee times up on top. And then Andrew McGee, he played well, 4 under yesterday in the first round. Lee Jansen, Mark McNulty. Tom Watson is with Paul Azinger and BJ Singh. Yesterday it was Singh who was the best of that trio. We'll see what happens today. Steve Pate, a co-leader after the first round, is with Lee Trevino, who won here back in '72. He was at 2 under yesterday. We'll watch him, Jose Rivero of Spain, with them. Then it is Nick Faldo. He is the 4-1 favorite now to capture this title. Craig Perry and Peter Mitchell are with the strong Englishmen. Seve Ballesteros, Mark Brooks, and Peter Sr. of Australia playing together. They'll tee it up at 225. 235. Larry Mize, powerful Ernie Els. Here is a young golfer you want to watch. He's the only professional in the world to have won 4 tournaments this year. He did it down in South Africa. A bit of a disappointment so far on the European Tour, but oh, we want to take a look at him today. Per Ulrich Johansson of Sweden is with them. Jack Nicklaus, this could be a sad day for the Golden Bear. He might fail to make the cut for only the 2nd time in British Open competition. Ian Woosnam and Chip Beck playing with Jack. And then the defender, Ian Baker Finch. He'll be along with John Daly and Sam Torrance. Daly might not make the cut, and the newspapermen will be very sad about that. He's in good copy, if nothing else. Now, our on-course commentators today, Bob Rosberg will be out there, along with Jerry Pate and Mark Rolfing. We'll be hearing from them throughout the afternoon. And, of course, it's a pleasure for us to be joined by our BBC colleagues throughout the day. Also, Peter Alice was with us on ABC in our coverage at Pebble Beach of the U.S. Open. And Peter, I must say that this has really been a treat for me, walking around here and enjoying the British Open Championship. I've enjoyed every bit of it. So come on in here now and take our audience along here in the 2nd round.
Oh, thank you, Brent. First look now at the 18th. This is Greg Norman, who was struggling to qualify. He's birdied 2 of the last 3 holes. This is his 3rd shot. This is on tape. Long chip and run. He's got to get down in 2 for a 2-round total of 142, and that's a beautiful shot. Go 4 or 5 feet past. But even if he misses that, he'll be here for the weekend. Now, Lasval, nice second he's played to this final hole. He's 5 under. Fairly straightaway putt, just over a little bit of a ridge. He's been striking the ball very well today. Well, coming down the wind, but the great grandstands on either side of this green, I think, provide some shelter, so that's still a couple of feet short. And he's going to putt it out and get it. No, he's not. He's going to wait. Now Trevino at the 1st drove it into trouble, got out to here. I swear that little loop's getting bigger and bigger. Well, you don't see that very often, but this opening hole, I think there have been 16 or 17 double bogeys so far, not 1 birdie.
John Cook and Gordon Brand at 9 under. There's Raymond and Pate still to start, and Ian Woosnam and Nick Faldo. And what a duel, Peter, over the weekend. The best of Great Britain and several of the American stars.
Yes, I don't think the weather's going to improve. Certainly, I don't think the wind's going to drop, although it may do around about 6 o'clock tonight. But by that time, most of the big guns will be almost at the end of their rounds. It's going to be very interesting to see how they get on over the next 2 or 3 hours. Here's Rivero, 3rd shot at the 1st. It's very well played. This opening hole, 400, just under 450 yards from the championship tee, and the shorter hitter's not able to reach into.
This is Jeff Maggart, who played well. Qualified, came over to Scotland, qualified, Peter, and he's 1 under right now. It's the 4th hole, par 3.
Well, a couple of the short holes are downwind, and that doesn't make them any easier. It's very hard to judge the bounce and the run. Looks as if sort of 144 might be the qualifying score.
Well, here's our man. Nick Faldo is playing with Peter Mitchell and Craig Perry, the Australian. This is Mitchell.
This Mitchell's an interesting player. He lives south of London. He's been on tour for several years. He just discovered sort of how to play over the last sort of couple of seasons. Won a tournament this year in Austria, the Austrian Open, and does some extraordinarily low scores. That's only just in the little wispy rough.
On tee, next follower.
I'd be interested to see how he copes, and so many other big names this afternoon, Brent, with this wind, as it is not easy. You must stay out of the fairway bunkers. Got to drive straight, and it's a day for defending more than attacking today.
So Faldo's ball slipping out of sight might not have a real good lie over there, Peter.
No, it's a bit inconsistent. Our friends at home, I'm sure will notice the difference between the manicuring of a US Open course and the wildness of our championship courses. Here's a young man that's going to play on the American Tour next year, Craig Perry, setting up home there, going to give the tour a real whirl.
So Perry, too, is in the right, and Nick Faldo must have thoughts of yesterday as someone captures a little nap here before Faldo gets to the back nine, but Nick bogeyed the first hole. We're going to hear from John Cook, who is at 9 under par when we come back. Steve Pate worked his way brilliantly around Muirfield yesterday with a round of 64, left him tied with Ray Floyd on the first hole, and he will have to pick up a couple today to get to 9 under because John Cook is in with the low round of 67. Jose Maria Olazabal of Spain finishing up also at 67. Those are the best rounds of the day, very much in contention, and Frank Hannigan is with John Cook. Let's go to Frank.
Good afternoon, John Cook. You had a terrific round, 4 under after 5 under yesterday, 9 under, and we were just talking about the highlight of your round was on the 5th hole. Tell us about that, Sean.
I hit a good drive and hit a 3-wood in the front left bunker, which was right in line with the pin, and my ball was kind of up against one of the sod walls, and I was just actually trying to get enough loft on it to get it out of the bunker, and it came out perfect and rolled in like a putt, you know, for a 3. So it was a nice way to start the round, kind of got into the round, and it was a nice way to, you know, break the ice.
Great. Now, here we are. You're going to obviously be either in or very close to the lead. Have you ever played right at the tail end of a major in the last group on a weekend, Sean?
Yeah, I played well at Marion in 81 and played well all week there, so I had, you know, that experience. I lived the Masters for a couple days a few years ago, and you had that experience. So, you know, this is very exciting, obviously, but we've got 2 more days left, and, you know, I would enjoy nothing more than to have a chance to do well on Sunday and maybe have a chance to win. But, you know, you got to dictate that yourself. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but you got to stick to your game plan and have some fun and relax and see how you come out tomorrow, and then you can think about, you know, positioning yourself to win the golf tournament.
We were talking about you're a bit of an old-fashioned traditionalist when it comes to golf equipment, aren't you? What's in your bag?
I have all wooden heads. I have all steel shafts. I have all V grooves. I actually went from an old 30-year-old bullseye to a ping this year, so I kind of went, you know, a little psycho, but not overdone it. But yeah, I'm one of the last guys to hang on.
How about tonight? You know, this is, I mean, let's face it, tomorrow, over the weekend, I mean, you have the potential really to change your life. You go to a different world. You're very successful now, but you can be in a totally different category. Do you try to keep that out of your mind?
Yeah, I think so. I'm the type of guy that, you know, I know what this could do, but it's not going to make or break me. It really, I'm so happy with the things that are going on in my life, and my family and my health is back, and you know, when those two things are together, then that allows me to play some good golf, and I'm just taking advantage of the situation with my wife and 3 kids at home, and my health is back, and now I'm able to do the thing that, you know, I really love to do, and that's to play golf. So, you know, to do well in this championship would be a great boost to my career. But then again, I can go home and my kids, they won't ask me how I did. They just want to know if I want to go water skiing.
Well, I hope the weekend continues brilliantly for you, John. Thanks for coming by. Brent?
Thanks, Frank. Lee Trevino with a bogey, Peter, at 1, and now it's Nick Faldo here, his second shot on tape moments ago.
Well, he did very well to find the green from there.
Fourth tee, this is Paul Azinger.
And a lot of golf balls are going to finish at the back of these greens today, particularly, of course, the holes downwind. Getting close is going to be a bit of a lottery. You have to strike the ball well and just have a little bit of good fortune.
Paul is playing with Tom Watson, 5-time winner there on the right-hand side, and Vijay Singh, who grew up in Fiji, one of 5 brothers, plays on the European Tour. Played quite well yesterday, especially on the back 9.
Yes, he finished very strongly yesterday. He really wasn't doing anything, and then suddenly he ended up with a 69, which 2 under par was a good score, although it didn't look so magical yesterday because the scoring was so low. But it's a different proposition today, Brent.
Yeah, Peter, he bogeyed this hole yesterday. He turned his tee shot over to the left and chipped short and struggled mightily with it. Good position now today is here is Watson.
That swing's hardly changed a whisker in the last 10 or 15 years. A bit unlucky not to get a bit more backspin there.
So Tom Watson stands at 3 over for the championship. Azinger is 2 under, as is Vijay Singh, and Tom Watson's ball trickling down toward the first of the treacherous par 3s here at Muirfield, and we'll continue. Beautiful overhead view here of the finishing 18th at Muirfield with the clubhouse there in the background. John Cook and Gordon Brand Jr., 9 under. Both have finished their rounds today. 67 for Cook and 68 for Brand. Off the ball also with a 67, and in case you just joined us, neither Fred Couples nor Davis Love made the cut at this 1992 British Open, and Peter Colin Montgomery also packed his bags and left. A bit of a disappointment for him.
Well, I suppose if the wind gets up, what did he finish? About 145, 146. I suppose there's an outside chance that might get in if the weather really deteriorates over the next couple of hours. The first green, Faldo, long putt for a 3. Could go to 146 if it really got up to blow, but it needs to change in the next hour or so, as Faldo has a really aggressive run at this opening hole. And they bobble and they turn and they don't do what he wants them to do. And it's a nasty old game. Greens are large here at most of our Seaside Links Championship courses are, to combat the wind conditions. You found how difficult it was at Pebble Beach with probably some of the smallest greens in championship golf, where the green set up in a very difficult state where the wind blows. So the greens here much bigger and not too slopey. Now Craig Parry for a 3 on the first hole.
That's the BBC's interview with Gordon Brand Jr., and we'll cut away to Paul Azinger. This is a birdie attempt on the par 3 fourth. What a great round Brand had.
That's pretty tidy to get down into from the back of the green. The wind, although it's about 25 miles an hour, it's by no means a monstrously strong wind, but it is testing. And it just keeps your concentration level high because it can just buffet you and blow you about a little bit. And the ball can, on occasions, oscillate on the green. So you're not quite sure whether the ball might move as you address it. And, of course, that would cost you a penalty stroke. That's not a bad record, is it, in 17 starts? The nearest I ever came to winning it was, I got within 4 strokes of the winner on a couple of occasions. It's the best I could do. And when you think you only have so many chances to win it, as many times as Watson and Nicklaus and Trevino and all of them, Ballesteros and Faldo, it really is something. Didn't read that right, and there's an awkward little putt left.
The clubhouse at Muirfield, it's wide open from those windows to the 18th green. That's part of the arrangement with the club and the Royal and Ancient, so that the folks who are in there enjoying lunch or a little glass of sherry later can see what's transpiring out on the 18th green, Peter.
Well, they used to, when we were here last, they put a big grandstand in front of the clubhouse, which didn't please the members. But, of course, this clubhouse there can turn into a house of delight on a Sunday afternoon about 3 o'clock after you've had a few large ones.
I can imagine. Faldo taking his time here with this par saver, a hole that he bogeyed yesterday.
Yes, he put it in the left-hand bunker and could only just get it out and hold a putt longer than this for a 5 yesterday. He really does rattle those in, Brent. That's a putting stroke of a confident man.
I remember during his heyday when Arnold Palmer used to rattle them off the back of the hole. So it's Cook and Brand now, deadlocked, and we'll continue. Well, after the first round, here were the latest odds at the bet shops. Faldo, who was 7-1, sliding to 4-1. Woosnam now 5-1. Floyd at 10-1. Couple's a bad bet. He'll go home early, but look at the Brand Jr., Cook and Stewart, poised at 33-1. Oh yes, that BAR. Part of my education, Peter. When I said, "What does bar mean?" and they laughed and they said, "Bet any of the rest." That's 40-1. So let's go down to Frank Hannigan now, who's with Gordon Brand.
We are with Gordon Brand, who was described by our colleague Mr. Alice as a very excellent wind player. Was that true, Gordon?
Well, it seems to be today. It seems that as the wind got stronger, I started to play better. So Peter must be right.
Would be the first time.
Now, it would be the first time.
Yes, I did. As you go around this golf course today, in the lead for the British Open Championship, up here in Scotland, are you cognizant of this enormous pressure that we think exists on a Scot to win here?
Not particularly enormous pressure. I think it's hard enough, when you get in the lead of a major championship, it's hard enough without thinking about, how many Scots are pulling for you. It was, it was the first time I'd really got that high in an Open Championship leaderboard, so I was delighted to be there. I was just trying to concentrate hard, visualise my shots and play the golf I'd played that got me there.
Yeah, it's true. Although you are an excellent win player, your record in this national championship has not been that good, has it?
It's not been that good, no, you're right there.
Why is that?
I really don't know. I mean, I've come here and I've enjoyed the golf course and I've started playing well and I've worked on my rhythm, and so things have tended to click for me this week, so I don't know why not before.
Well, we hope it continues to click for you over the weekend. Thanks for coming by. Back to you, Mr. Musburger.
All right,
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, and here's a charger, Peter. Seve Ballesteros.
Second to the first. Nicely played. Very nicely played. And if you wondered what had happened to Gordon Brand's accent, I might tell you that his parents are Scottish, but he spent most of his life in the West Country, and that gentle, rather sing-songy voice you heard is from the Bristol area, from the west of England. So there are Scotsmen who are very proud of it that don't sound Scottish at all. It's all very confusing.
Here's Larry Watkins at 14. He's 2 under right now.
And it did. That had got a nice bounce forward. There's still a great element of good luck in golf, Brent. A lot of people try and say that it's all down to mathematics and regimentation. It really is a lot of nonsense. The ball will spin and jump, and you have to rely on lies on the fairways, lies in the rough, how a ball sits in a bunker. They're far more intriguing to see how many players now can't afford razor blades. I find that intriguing. I think we need a bit more of the cold steel and the badger, I think, to get a bit of Payne Stewart, Andrew McGee, now Langer, all looking like something from the Old Testament. Good player, though, this man. Good striker. Now, he's sort of hovering around. The job over the first 2 days in the championship is to stay and keep in contention. Very slow player there, Bernard. Getting slower as the years go by. He was urging it on. He didn't want a lot more to take it right up to the hole.
This is for birdie for Seve at the first hole.
Fell away, tailed away at the end. Seve sort of was steady yesterday. We were all waiting for something to happen, but it never did.
Now back on the tee, Larry Mize. Will start at 3 under for the championship. Off the first tee, he's playing with Per Ulrik Johansson of Sweden and Ernie Els of South Africa, and we'll continue. And look at our scoreboard. Ian Woosnam still to start his second round, causing a stir here at Muirfield with his strong performance yesterday after indicating in the news conference that he wasn't up to snuff, but that did not turn out to be the case. Tom Kite looking good, Peter.
Yes, I think Tom, I would expect him to be high up the leaderboard to come Sunday night. He's got the sort of game that can stand up under these conditions, hits the ball straight. He's now won his first major, and I think that must be a mighty release as we look through. So a young amateur there, Darren Lee from East London. He's had all sorts of virus infections. He's almost a walking miracle. He almost shrunk away to nothing at all, but he's doing well.
Here's Mark Brooks now at 1. And at the 4th, it's longer.
You see the greens really are quite slow. They're uphill. I don't know whether the players, because of the windy conditions, are getting a bit tentative, but I think the powers would like the greens to be a little bit faster, because if you get them fast and it blows, and the greens become shiny and glassy, well, then it becomes a bit of a farce. So I think the fetish for getting greens lightning fast has gone almost as far as we want it to.
Well, Peter, Jack Whitaker's been watching the proceedings here for the last couple of days. And, Jack, what do you make of all this?
Just about what you make of it, I think, Brent. A terrific show, but I always forget how long the first 2 days of the British Open are. I guess they're not much longer than ours back home, but because they start at 7:30 and go well past 8:30 at night in the long summer twilight of Scotland, they seem almost endless. And because of that, the differential between the morning and the afternoon rounds is much more pronounced than it is back home. We have 2 halves, really, the morning half and the evening half. And in the morning half today, as we've seen, John Cook has put up with Gordon Brandt Jr. a 9 under to shoot at. Now we're going to see what Woosnam and Faldo and Steve Pate in the afternoon can do. It is also, of course, the cut day, and we just heard Peter assuming that it might be around 2 or 3 over, and we've lost, of course, the 2 leading players on our tour, Davis Love and Freddie Couples and Gary Player, and Colin Montgomery, who was supposed to be the hope of Scotland here. However, the Scots have a new hero here in Gordon Brandt Jr., and should he prevail, a shout will rise in every throat, from the border towns to John O'Groats. Brent?
Hey, you should hear Jack say, "New potatoes, please," when we go to dinner. I'm rather enjoying that, Peter. Here's Brooks now for par.
They don't give him any. They think he's saying no potatoes. Good putt there from Brooks. Good solid par. Here's Lanny Watkins for a 2 and a birdie at the 4th hole. He's 2 under.
So he'll finish up there. Steve Pate with a birdie at the 3rd hole. And he is close to within a shot of the lead. Well, this will give you an idea how the BBC has covered here at Muirfield what we'll be bringing you. The back 9, of course. Then on the front, we'll supplement that at the 1st, 4th, 7th, and the 9th holes. So pretty comprehensive coverage of this, the 2nd round cut down here at the 121st British Open Championship. So now we want to take a look at a young man, Ernie Els of South Africa. His 2nd shot here, Peter, and he's supposed to have unbelievable potential.
Yes, he's a huge man. They used to say there weren't too many big men ever made it to the very top of the tree. That seems to be changing, but yesterday he put in a good score. He's only recently turned pro, and in his sort of first few months he cleaned up pretty well everything down in South Africa, which is a pretty good golfing circuit.
Now Steve Pate with a birdie at the 3rd. Here he is at the 4th tee, 1 off the lead now. So it's that front left, golfer's left. So the man known as the Volcano quietly going about his business here. 7th tee, Lee Jansen.
Nicely balanced follow through there.
Lee's lost a couple of shots today, Peter. He's back to 3 under.
And short on that one, wasn't he, Rossi?
Yeah, it got up in the wind and ballooned. It's a hard hole today, right into the breeze.
It's not easy to get the ball near the flag, is it, Bob, with the big greens and the wind sweeping across. Although the wind's not all that strong, it's tricky.
You don't see a whole lot of shots that go real close, Peter.
No.
And I've noticed that whenever it gets windy over here.
Mark Calcavecchia playing well, and unfortunately he and his wife were victims of a robbery back in their hotel yesterday afternoon while he was playing in the first round, and she lost her jewelry valued around 30,000 pounds, according to the press reports here in Scotland today. So he was able to shake that bit of bad news off and go on about his business here today. He was the last American to win the British Open. A couple of years ago, he captured it. Used to be that it was an annual right over in the United States. We simply expected Peter to come over here and win your championship, and that has not been the case over the last decade.
No, the spoils have been shared out a little bit more evenly over the last few years, which I think on the whole is a very good thing. Trevino, it's at the tee shot at the 4th.
Go, ball.
Now, in his heyday, you would have said that this man would put a good round together under these conditions, and I think still able to do it if the putter's kind to him.
Peter, he told us that injured, the damaged thumb that bothered him last week, feeling fine, another short of cortisone, and he said won't bother him at all as we get ready to see one of the big favorites now. He got in at 65 yesterday. Ian Woosnam of Wales, a former prize fighter, a lot of spunk, character, fun to watch he is.
Yes, he said he's just learned he's got back in the groove where he can draw the ball, just move the ball right to left again.
Trevino gave one away at the first, so he's at 1 under, and see what he can do here.
Willie Aitchison there holding the flag as they've been together for almost all the years that Lee has come over. Willie's caddied for him in a good partnership. One of the few players to win 2 years in a row there, Brent. See, 71 and 72, and averaging just under 72 for all those rounds scored. So a wonderful, wonderful record.
Now here's a look at Larry Rinker, playing quite well this year. Nice putt. That was a birdie at 17. Now back at the first tee, chip back.
So using an iron into the wind. Now that's, well, he's safely on the fairway, but that'll leave him a long second.
Now, here's a moment, isn't it, Peter? And we're left with, I guess, questions. He'll get a big round of applause. And disappointing round yesterday. He'd have to play awfully well to get through to the cut. Still has a chance, though, and here he is.
Yes, but he's looking at sort of a 68 or something like that, a 69 to have a chance. And the way Jack's playing and the mental state, I've never known Jack be so unhappy mentally as he is at the moment. He's not on tune with anything. That's very rare. The only time I've ever known him to be such a way. See that? He's expecting, he's getting in his own way, he's pulling, he's offline, he's just in a mess. This is extraordinary. Now, Woosnam got to get away to a good start. A couple of shots right out the middle of the bat and a couple of smooth putts and get him going. His confidence at this moment is riding high, but it can soon disappear in the winds of Gillen.
Jack's shoulders just slumped away, didn't they, after he went in that bunker now?
Good shot.
I think that's a great swing. It's only 5'4". Big, wide action, extends through the ball and generates terrific power.
Peter, let me go back on the Rinker story. That birdie left him at 5 under for the championship, 3 under for the day. So Larry Rinker playing very well. This is the beautiful par 4 finishing hole. There are bunkers on either side. Flagstick is cut to the bottom left on up ahead. Bunkers have come into play frequently. A nasty crosswind.
Good shot. You know, about 170 yards from there.
Steve paid for par at the 4th. One back he is. Had a brilliant 64 yesterday. Playing quite well. Well, Steve Melnick, there are our co-leaders, Gordon Brand and John Cook.
Well, we've got an English name in Cook and a Scott in Brand. Jack Nicklaus' second shot from a horseshoe-shaped bunker adjacent to the landing area at 1. Jack's problem is that his game has been a day-to-day one, trying to find a swing of the last 18 holes. That's no way to play golf. You can't help but feel sorry for him. At age 52, you wonder if maybe this is not his last Open Championship. We saw him last week at the Senior Open. One day he would be buoyed by his swing thoughts of second day. No good.
Now, Andrew McGee, Fu Manchu and all. This is on the 7th green. This is for a birdie for Andrew.
Great tee shot on this difficult par 3.
And that pulls him to 5 under with that birdie. Nicely done. Ian Woosnam, he's playing with Jack. I'm sure that when Ian was a youngster growing up in Wales, he read all about the exploits of Jack. He was kind of every golfer's hero when Woosnam was a youngster learning the game, Steve.
To kind of pick up on what Peter Al said, he's got a great swing for the win. It's kind of a roundhouse swing, very tight, arms close to his side, well balanced. Hit it too solid.
We get an idea of how the competitors are making out. You see Azinger there at -4. Your man on up ahead had an eagle at the 5th hole. I know you think that Paul can play very well in the wind today and that BJ has no chance against him.
I am unabashedly an Azinger fan. The man who served Jack Whitaker and I trout last night, you've got to like him. He went out to a trout farm, caught a couple of trout. We had it for dinner last night.
Now Donnie Hammond at the 9th. This is his 3rd shot out of that bunker. He's 4 under. While Azinger was fishing, VJ was practicing.
But was he practicing the right thing?
We shall find out. As the view of the clubhouse at Muirfield. There you see the window opening on to the 18th green back there, Steve. Have you had an opportunity to go on inside the clubhouse and see some of the trophies and the old golf clubs and the memorabilia and photos?
Members only, Brent.
Well, they let me in.
They got to check your credential.
Maybe they thought I was one of the security guards when I... the left-hander, Russ Cochran, going to be playing over the weekend. Now, he didn't find the wind so treacherous on some of the holes. It blows differently for a left-hander, Steve.
Good wind player. In fact, even Couples said that Cochran would be a good pick over here. It's interesting that the players themselves maybe betting a few bob, if you will, on their fellow competitors. I'll tell you, while we have a minute, Brent, it's interesting to note that the Americans who came over and qualified, Larry Rinker on the leaderboard now, came over and qualified, Jeff Maggart, Duffy Waldorf, and Donnie Hammond, whom you just saw moments ago.
Yeah, they got acclimated, didn't they? Jack, meanwhile, had to fly in his own private jet over here following the Senior Open, and here he is, 3rd shot on the par 4, number 1. Yeah, well done there, and as you pointed out, Steve, that's not the strongest part of Jack's game, but he gave himself a chance there.
No, it's nice to see him leave himself a shot at making par here. This is really a tough opening hole.
The wind is treacherous. You said it right away when we came here. You had played that hole, how difficult it is.
It's one of the more narrow opening holes. Many players think it's the hardest opening hole in all of championship golf.
Norman in at 1 over, so he will play. Had to be disappointed. He was 2 under at one point. We go back now to Rinker. This is his second shot. This is on the finishing 18th here, Steve.
Left with a second shot of about 190 yards, flagstick in the left-hand portion of the green, wind out of the right.
Yeah, it won't bump in. Left it short.
You know, Larry's an interesting study. In fact, the 82 Open at Pebble Beach is when we first saw Larry Rinker. He was paired in the final, pairing in the third round. In fact, paired with Bruce Devlin. Likes to play major championships. You don't hear a lot of him on a week-to-week basis, but kind of gears his game toward majors. You look at him, you wouldn't think that majors would be his focus.
So he's well short of the green here, but a couple of solid rounds now, and we turn our attention to Nick Faldo.
Well, we may be looking at the consummate golf professional, not just in Europe, but perhaps the world. His record, easily the best among all players in major championships the past 5 years.
With what we saw in this championship with Freddie Couples, clearly you would rate Nick Faldo #1 in the world right now, wouldn't you?
I really would have rated him #1 this year. Freddie's been maybe a 12-month phenomenon. Nick has done it over 5 years.
And Nick played well in our U.S. Open. Battled away to that final Sunday.
In the can. Go on, go on, go on.
Short flagstick there because of the fierce winds which buffet this coast of Scotland. Cook and Brand are leaders at 9 under. Ian Woosnam at 1. Some putt, Steve.
An all-around good putt. Good par.
Now Rinker is preparing here to finish up at the 18th.
Using a putter. Very tight turf around these greens. Rinker played his golf at the University of Florida.
A gator.
A gator. Good gator.
There's the board, and Rinker, with a par here, would join that group at 5 under.
Good performance. It's nice to see a player come over here, qualify, and then pay it off with good play. Jeff Maggart, another qualifier, playing well. Almost redemption for their effort.
Bob Rosberg with a close look now at the precise Nick Faldo at the 4th.
Well, a great opportunity squandered.
This was moments ago, Craig Perry. Faldo tapping in. Off to a solid start. He'll make his move if he can here in the winds of Muirfield.
Yes.
Conditions that he certainly is familiar with. Now Mark Calcavecchio. And that is not, that's Billy Andrade, the 13th tee. We were going to Calcavecchia, but that was Andrade. Ball checking down onto the green. Andrade is 3 under right now.
Becoming a pretty good international player. Played last week in a tournament down in Switzerland. Came over early, acclimated himself to the time change, playing well.
Now it's Calcavecchia. He is at 5 under.
Brent, I went around with Mark on Tuesday in a group, and he really did not play well. You'd never know it by shots like that. You get the feeling that some players get bored playing practice rounds.
Mark James along with them.
Former Ryder Cupper. Really, he's had a long, solid career. Kind of like our Wayne Levy. You know, not a lot is heard of him, and yet he continues to play well for the most part. He's right on the cut figure here. That could be good. .13, the shortest of the 4 par 3s, playing dead downwind. The yardage today, 157. Calcavecchia maybe as little as a 9-iron downwind.
That's the last American champion here in the British Open, as they refer to it over here. The Open, and Seve Ballesteros checking the yardage with his caddy here at the tee.
On the practice ground Tuesday and Wednesday, Seve spent a lot of time just with the short shots, as though he didn't want to get swing hung up in the wind. Simply wanted to work on some rhythm. He said tee to green he was good. He said his putting was awful. Awful.
He's with Peter Sr. and Mark Brooks. And it's not Seve's turn. And it'll be Senior of Australia. Fine professional, standing at 2 under par. Fine shot at the par 3.
The bounce really comes into play here, particularly downwind when you can't throw the ball back to the flagstick. It's not like in the States when they get the yards to the front, they get the yards for the pin, they try to fly it at the pin.
Brooks' turn. He's even par for the championship.
Hole today playing 185.
You can see that even though we've been talking about the breezes, not real cold biting wind yet. A lot of the fellows still wearing the short sleeve golf shirts out here. At no time was it cold or uncomfortable out there.
More importantly, no rain.
That's tomorrow, Steve.
You sound like the kind of guy that likes to go to train wrecks, Brent.
I can't wait for the British Open hurricane to hit.
This course is tough enough as it is.
I love Pebble Beach.
The final round.
The final round. Much too tame until then. Here's Seve.
Here's the only man in golf that I think I would go out of my way to watch play. He's the most exciting player in golf today. He's liable to shoot 68 or 78. And really, depending on how he gets started and how he gets going, he can shoot just about any number.
Interesting. Yeah, he would be someone who would attract you to go watch. I think I'd go to watch Woosnam right now, too.
Another player in that category.
If Couples turns it on.
Won 5 majors. Should have won more. Magnificent swing. That's going left, though.
Yeah, he won't be happy down in there.
That's his problem. He gets too fast, the ball goes left.
Well, your man Paul Azinger with another birdie at 6. This is Azinger now at the 7th.
Tough shot into this wind of this par 3.
He's 5 under for the championship. Now Andrade. This is for birdie at 13. It'll roll away. Very good putt, though, wasn't it? So, yes, the wind picked up, but the scoring hasn't dropped off all that much. Some 67s and 68s on the board. Well, let's watch Seve Ballesteros try to create something here at the fourth.
Well, he's a magician around the greens.
Now, moments ago, Calcavecchia making a move here. This is for a birdie. This to go to 6 under now. Easy one for him.
That's painful.
Now Brooks at the fourth.
It's Tommy Miller, his longtime caddy, made the trip over. Just as tough on caddies to come over as it is players.
It's not tough. It's a pleasure to come over here and play a little bit. Great food. People are friendly. As long as you can stand the breezes, you're enjoying yourself.
Where are you playing Monday?
The callers, St. Andrews, and am I looking forward to that, sir?
Big swing from the left.
That would have helped him along now. So Rinker has joined those at 5 under, and Larry is down with Frank Hannigan. Frank?
Yeah, Larry, we've been talking about your experience and why do you come over here and risk what's involved? 2 weeks away, no guarantee of money to come over here and pre-qualify for a British Open.
Well, I think I've done fairly well this year. I've made almost enough money to keep my card this year. So, I mean, it's the British Open, it's a major. And if you've made your money in the States, I think you've got to come over here and give it a go, even if you have to qualify.
And speaking of qualify, some of your buddies over here are calling you LOQ, as in low open qualifier, which is also, I think, the call letters for a jazz station in Florida, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's a jazz station I listen to where I live in Winter Park, Florida.
You study guitar formally, don't you?
Yes, I have a guy that I study with, Steve Luciano in Orlando, and he's a great player, and I've been playing 27 years, so I kind of hack away at it.
Tell us just a touch about your round today, Larry.
Well, it was a good round. I hit it close at 2. I hit about 3 feet, hit it close at 3, and made birdie to go 2 under, about 5 feet, and basically parred the side out. I hit it about 5 feet at 6 and missed it. And then I went around bogeyed 10, but was able to birdie 13, made good saves at 14 and 15, and then birdied 17. So it was a good, solid round.
Combining guitar, it's not just a gimmick. You're a serious guitarist. Do your peers on the tour appreciate your music?
Well, I don't know if appreciate is the right word, but they are nice to listen to me sometimes.
Well, they ought to be, Larry. Thanks for coming by, and good luck over the weekend.
Thank you.
Now, someone whose hero is Eddie Van Halen and not Jack Nicklaus on the tour. Now Seve for par here at the fourth.
Have to read the break and factor the wind. It's 2 for 2.
That's his art, isn't it? So many times in trouble.
The best short game in the business, period.
He doesn't like it straight on so much. He likes it for the sides of the greens and out of these areas down at Augusta.
I don't think we'll be seeing Seve with one of those putters either, Brent.
No, I don't think so. Now, here's Azinger's second shot at number 7.
I was a little surprised at what Paul tried to do here, actually, Brent. He had a pretty good lie. I thought he would bump it into the side of the hill here at 7, but he tried to flop it up onto the green. And you're going to see this ball run all the way off the front edge.
Oh, my.
His third shot actually is played from about twice as far as his second shot, and I'll tell you, this 7th green, very tough. He nearly had about a 20-foot birdie putt. It just trickled off the right edge the first shot. Now he's got about a 4-footer for bogey.
Threw that one up there beautifully. Laziger trying to battle his way out of that problem, and we'll continue.
Ball live from Tokyo. The Houston Oilers, an explosive offense led by Warren Moon, and a lethal defense ready to drill anyone in their way. The Dallas Cowboys. Emmitt Smith leads the charge for a Lone Star State battle in the land of the rising sun. The Oilers meet the Cowboys Saturday, August 1st, live on ESPN.
At the 4th tee now, a chance for us to look at Ernie Els. Powerful South African. On the green, in good shape. He has birdied already today. The 2nd and the 3rd. He has gone to 7 under par. This is the only pro golfer in the world to have won 4 titles already this year. That was early this winter down in South Africa. He struggled a bit since coming to the European Tour, but serving notice here that he could be a star of the future, playing with Larry Mize, a one-time Masters champion from the United States, and Per-Ulrik Johansson of Sweden. Mize studying that, and Azinger at 7 with this bogey putt.
This is a very fast putt straight down the hill, and the wind is right at his back.
Oh, and that slowed him up. Moving along beautifully, and suddenly a double bogey at this par 3. He has gone to 3 under, and back to Mize now at the 4th, Steve.
Larry, typically not a good wind player. He's got a swing that takes a long time to happen. It's a long flowing swing. He's better when it's calm than when it's windy.
That one.
It's actually shortened and tightened his swing in the last 18 months.
Steve, let's take a close look at the Els swing.
Boy, this is a strong-looking player. Everything about his setup is terrific. He's over the ball nicely. Let's take a look at his swing. Big, wide, flowing arc. Head very still. Tremendous shoulder turn. Clears his left side on the forward swing. Keeps his head back. Brent Peter Els is right. This is a magnificent swing from a young 22-year-old. Actually played in the British Open when he was 19 years old. This is terrific.
Yeah, so mark him down. ELS, Ernie Els, South Africa. Might take a crack at the American Tour in a couple of years, or at least a few more of our tournaments over there. It's always great to see the international stars come over. I guess something we miss not seeing, Nick Faldo and Ian Woosnam, as much as we'd like, but that shows the success of the European circuit. More money through the years, and it's also the Asian tournaments. Here is Constantino Rocco for a birdie. He's from Italy, played well in the British Open last year, and had a strong performance in the first round, trying to equal it here today. Left that one too short.
He has played well of late. It was the last 3 events in Europe in the top 10. Last 3 events.
You'd be shocked to see an Italian with a temper, wouldn't you? I mean, you would.
What's the old line? If they sat on their hands, they couldn't talk.
Very disgusted with that effort now. Bernhard Langer of Germany, even for the day and 1 under for the championship.
Way to win it. Come on. Bring it back. Come on.
Pleading for help from the wind on a green, but a long way from the flag, isn't he?
I think anything on this green today is a well-played shot. You're going uphill into an elevated green into the wind.
Needs to pick up the pace of his game, though, doesn't he, Steve? Drawing criticism internationally as well as over in the States for the slow play. No excuse for 5-hour rounds in these championships, is there?
He's deliberate to a fault.
So part of the very knowledgeable crowd, Steve. I don't think I've been around any more knowledgeable crowd. Down at Augusta, they certainly are, but here at Scotland, they do love their golf. At the ninth, this is McNulty for a birdie.
Par 5 might not be reachable in 2 today, 504 yards into the teeth of the wind. Normally one of the best putters in the world, too. Here's a look at the 9th hole. The real key is this bunker right here. It is 270 yards in this area right in here. That's the landing area. So if you can avoid this bunker right here, well, then maybe you can do some good here.
Steve, they're even short of that bunker off the tee, or at least they were earlier today. Now, Andrade, this is his second shot at 14.
Toughest hole on the entire golf course, Brent. Terrific shot by Billy.
3 under right now for young Billy Andrade as the British Open Championship moves along. Here's how the holes rank through the first round.
14th the toughest, and the first and 18th share the distinction of being the second toughest. The first maybe the toughest opening hole in championship golf. The par 5s, as you might expect, play pretty easy here at Muirfield.
So we'll continue with our second round coverage of the British Open Championship in just a moment. And at the par 3 fourth, Mize for a birdie.
Big swing from the left. Yes. Larry here with his family, Bonnie and 2 boys this week.
He was out jogging last night following supper. Now before that, let's take a look at Ernie Els, this for a birdie.
Well, we saw his full swing. Let's see how he does with the flat blade.
Els stays at 7 under. Calcavecchia for a bogey at 14, had a disappointing missed birdie opportunity. Back. Somewhat disappointed in how things have turned here the last couple of holes. Els tapping in for his par. 2 back of the lead. John Cook of the United States and Gordon Brand of Scotland sharing the lead at 9 under par. Jose Maria Olazabal of Spain amongst those who shot themselves into contention today. Ian Woosnam and birdie back at the 3rd now. He's gone to -7. And an interesting little debate, I'm sure, that has been raised by those of you, some saying that John Daly will make the cut, won't make the cut. Well, it's going to be a battle. He's through 3. He has 1 birdie and 2 pars, and so he is 2 over par right now in the second round. The 1 over will certainly make it, and we'll see whether or not the 2s and the 3s get in. They cut to the low 70 here, plus ties. Now back at the 4th tee, a look at Ian Woosnam, who with that birdie on the day is 2 behind Cook and Brand.
Kind of a disadvantage, Brent, when you play first on these downwind holes. I think more tough than the upwind holes. You don't know how far the ball will carry into the green. See, watching you play golf the other morning?
That was my caddy. That's what happens when you work for me, when you got to find those. Easy now. I want. Do you think he called and got the latest on Faldo? Huh?
No, he had couples in the draw.
Yes, that's it. That's the one who bet the 2,000 pounds on Freddie to win it. Here's Chip Beck.
Typically a good win player. Chip has played well over here. Played real well at Shinnecock in the wind in the 86 Open. Well, they watched Woosnam go through the green. He comes up half club short.
Now it's Jack, who is 5 over, having bogeyed the first hole, parring 2 and 3. Struggle, isn't it? Let's take a look at Jack's problem, Steve.
Brent, I think his real problem is that Jack's club is up in here. It's very upright and it's very short. He doesn't get his shoulders behind the ball. When you don't get behind the ball, you're going to hit the ball to the left. Let's take a look. Jack takes it back. Looks pretty good going back. Club goes up in there and short, kind of abbreviates his backswing, and then from there he just pulls across the ball and the ball goes left. Never really gets behind the ball, never really gets set into his right side, and it's simply not his old swing, Brent.
Now Steve Pate, 1 back at the 7th tee.
Steve has 173 yards playing right into the teeth of this wind. Taking a 4-iron, knocked it down low. Good looking shot, just left of the flag.
Jerry Pate, that's a wonderful shot, and I think we should point out to some of our viewers who are wondering that Pates are not related, and but you might claim him after that shot, Jerry.
Trevino today, 2 over par and really having just a so-so day. Lee hasn't been putting very well. He has a 3-iron, going to take it down low. And I mean, that is low. Real low. Conditions today are really, really different from yesterday. The wind blowing strong out of the north, and this is the wind condition that the R&A Championship Committee wants to see for the next 2 days. Really makes this course play tough.
The interesting thing about Steve Pate's swing is not so much his swing, but his feet. He plays flat-footed. Watch as he takes his club back. His both feet really stay on the ground. He's remarkably supple, has great shoulder turn, but there's no lifting of the left heel whatsoever. Plays virtually flat-footed. It's like he went out and played barefooted. All in all, not a bad way to play.
Now Nicklaus. This is his second shot. Gave himself a chance, didn't he? Save par here.
It can be a painful 4.5 hours if his swing continues as we have seen it thus far, Brent. There's no more lonely or helpless feeling in golf than to go out on a tough course under tough conditions and have to struggle not with the course but your own swing.
Nicklaus's problems for a second here and watch Woosnam.
a bad play. It's kind of an awkward lie behind the green.
So Woosnam, 2 back. Nicholas struggling to make the cut. The stories continue to unfold at Muirfield. Well, Steve, you give Woosnam a good chance to win this championship?
I do. He's got a low center of gravity, 5'4", if the wind continues.
Low center of gravity?
Yeah, sure. Low CGs.
When you make your picks, is that what you should be?
When the wind blows, you better keep it low somehow. If you start low, it's a nice help. If he putts well, he can win. Ugh. It's ugly.
That'll leave him in a foul state when he goes to the next tee.
Well, they had the honor on the hole. I think that's what caused bogey as much as anything.
So some of the faces in the crowd, and large crowds they are. We get ready for the weekend. Notice how many neckties you find on the golf spectators. This is Nicholas for his par. So Jack, saving par, and we'll take you from one legend, one Hall of Famer to another. Here's Trevino for birdie at the 7th. This is just moments ago. Now live, it's Pate with a opportunity here and a share of the lead.
You know, although it's very windy, the crowd out here is a big factor when you have a big gallery with Trevino and Steve. They really are shielding the wind, and it makes putting very easy for these players. When you're perched up on a hill like this on this 7th hole, the wind could really play havoc on a putt, but that made it very easy for Steve.
Well, Jerry, there he is, tied now at 9 under with Cook and Brand, and a lot of holes now if he can continue on his way. This is for par for Trevino. Level par. Now the hit with the newspaper folks here. John Daly, 2 over for the championship. So the battle to get to Saturday and Sunday continues at Muirfield. Already gone, Davis Love and Freddie Couples. Now, while you were gone, this is a Markel Cavecchia's effort to save par here.
Well, he missed the short one at 13, and here again.
So the loose grass out there drew some complaints from the competitors.
You know, you've got a bunch of spectators above and behind this green. The wind blowing that debris down on the green. Nice bit of housekeeping here.
Now Nick Faldo waiting there on the tee. Faldo 2 back and already 2 under for the day. Here he is at the par 3 7th.
Coming off birdies at 5 and 6, Brandy just missed an eagle at 5 from about 25 feet. Put it in there about 8 feet at 6 and made it. It's all playing 173 yards today. Wind up, as Jerry Pate said in the previous group. Nick has a 4-iron.
So Faldo obviously unhappy now. This is John Daly and running this chip up. Yes! And the fourth hole chipping in for a birdie. He is now 1 over and setting sail after the cut. And this morning in the Daily Telegraph, long article about John. He has inspired one column after another, as you might imagine. He had the largest gallery out here yesterday, and again they'll be tracking him. So second look. So now we'll go to Craig Perry on the 7th tee.
He made an eagle at 5 to get to 5 under, going along very well.
The defender, Ian Baker Finch, at the 4th for a birdie.
Normally one of the better putters in the game. Struggling.
So we'll continue. Log jam at the top. Steve, here's Mark Calcavecchi at the 16th tee.
Downwind. Possibly as little as a 7-iron if he throws it way up in the air. 192-yard hole.
Now Donnie Hammond, 13 for a birdie.
Remember a qualifier over here. Played himself into tremendous position. He is 5 under par on his round today, 6 under in all, working on the low round of the day.
Now into one of the 147 pot bunkers here at Nearfield.
Pretty tough shot here. Wind coming out of the left, a long bunker shot. Not a bad lie. It could have been a lot worse.
Not happy with that. He would almost prefer the trees of Pebble Beach. We haven't had a look at Curtis Strange, who is at 5 over for the championship. This for a birdie at 14. So Curtis, like Nicholas, battling just to stay in this championship. And it's going to be a struggle, isn't it?
Actually battled back yesterday and birdied 2 of the last 3 holes to get to 3 over, 74.
We get word that Vijay Singh has dropped 1, and so he's only at 1 under. Back at 7, here's Mitchell.
You know, this is such a hard hole. He hit a pretty good looking shot off the tee and ended up with a shot that was very, very difficult. His shot, if it bounces left instead of right up on the green, it's going to be pretty close to the hole. The wind is actually dying just a shade. It's coming in from the same direction, but it actually has died from about an hour ago.
Calcavecchi for a birdie at 16.
not making anything on the greens.
So there's our situation at the moment. Cook, Pate, and Brand deadlocked. Steve Pate 9 under through 7. And it is time now here, Steve, near the top of the hour, for us to join Jim McKay and Bruce Critchley, the BBC. Jim?
Okay, Brent, thank you very much. Bruce Critchley, for many years, fine amateur player over here, member of the British Walker Cup team in years gone by. Good to have you with us. You know, certainly the story of the day, I think, so far, Bruce, although many are building out there, has to be Gordon Brand Jr., a Scotsman with a real chance now to win the British Open. I was looking through the records. The last two Scots to win the British Open in Scotland were both Americans. Must explain that. Tommy Armour, of course, in 1931, Jock Hutchison in 21, who had gone and taken on American citizenship, but they certainly were welcomed home when they did that.
Very much so, and of course there's a very tremendous added pressure on a Scotsman in Scotland, because 4 out of the 7 venues are that the Open is played on is in Scotland, and it's going to be very difficult. And Gordon Brand's been around a long time, and to be frank, I think he's played something like 15 Open Championships, perhaps missed the cut 10 times. You know, it would be a tremendous surprise were he to hang on, but he's shown no sign at the moment that he's going to sort of drift out of the lead. He showed tremendous courage when he's faced with difficult situations, and there's no reason to think that he'll come back down the leaderboard.
How would you describe his personality? Seems to be a rather quiet, shy sort of man.
Well, that's right. I mean, he's actually domiciled in England and rather reserved, which is a characteristic of many of our countrymen. Sure. And he's a gentle, he gets on with his job. He's a sort of true professional, does it, not much histrionics, but again, that's very much the character of the nation, Jim.
No question about it. Meanwhile, the passage of time continues here. Jack Nicklaus, it looks very much like we'll miss the cut. We could be seeing the end of the Nicklaus era as far as the British Open is concerned. He's played in it 30 times, won it 3 times, second 6 times. I can't imagine anybody will ever equal that record.
Oh, no. And I mean, and I think he was not going to hang around if he's not competitive. He's not sort of an old fighter getting sort of punch drunk. He would be, the way he's playing, particularly the way he's driving at the moment, would, I think, almost disgust him. He'd be offended with the way he's playing the game. The other thing, of course, he's set all the records, and nobody will come anywhere near what he's achieved in the game of golf. And unless it would be like Raymond Floyd, who could join 4 or 5 others who have won all of the major titles, that's really about the only thing that's left to go for. Nicklaus has taken everything else away.
No question about it. Meanwhile, a young man named Ernie Els, at age 22, has come from South Africa, and that could be part of the wave of the future. The wave of the present, however, could easily be Nick Faldo, very much in the fight, twice a winner of this championship. And he seems to be kind of changing his public persona a bit to me. He was dour for so many years. Now he tells jokes and climbs trees and says, "Where's Jane?" Have you noticed that?
Oh, yes. And I think, again, a conscious effort. He got very intense about the game, allied to his swing changes. And I think he got to the point where he was thinking about golf shots rather than about the game of golf. And trying to change that, he's tried to sort of lighten up a bit. And he has been playing, Jim, tremendously well for the last 3 or 4 months. He's been never out of the top 10, I think, in sort of since the Masters. But his disappointment is that he hasn't actually been converting very good opportunities into victories.
Could be this. We return to the second round of the British Open Golf Championship, coming to you live from Muirfield in Scotland. It's a beautiful day for a picnic, as you can see right there in some of the tall grass. A wonderful day to walk on the beach with a brisk wind in your face, temperature probably close to 70 degrees. But a little bit of a different story for the golfers out here, because the wind is up and is part of the game today. Here's Mark Brooks.
Yes, the 7th hole. In fact, correction, the 4th hole. No, I had it right the first time. The 7th hole, back into the breeze, 185 yards. Mark Brooks.
3-way tied for the lead at the moment. John Cook of the United States, Steve Pate of the United States, and Gordon Brand Jr. of Scotland. They're followed by Ray Floyd, who shot even par 71 today. Ernie Els of South Africa, who's at 7 under also. Faldo, whom you saw a moment ago. Ian Woosnam, Donnie Hammond of the United States, Olazabal of Spain, and Craig Parry of Australia. A true international leaderboard.
This is Seve Ballesteros at the 7th. Pars all the way. And 1 under for the championship.
Didn't seem to like that one.
No. And any error when you're playing back into the breeze is sort of accentuated by the wind, and that's the pins over that side, and he'll have a desperately difficult shot to get close and, in fact, get down in a par. Let's have another look at that in slow motion, and nothing really has been working for Seve. It still looks good, maybe just a touch hurried, this swing as he comes back. It's the head you see perfectly still. The hand, nothing wrong there, but then he just begins the right shot, a little bit of too fast, and he comes a touch on the outside, trying perhaps to keep the ball low, and then he gets cramped up on himself, and suddenly the top half has to pull sort of back towards our camera, and the face comes in open, and the ball shies away on the right-hand side.
Again, getting into the mental aspect of this game, Bob Rosberg was saying this morning that it doesn't seem like Seve has quite that drive and that panache that he had for so many years. Donnie Hammond, born Frederick, Maryland, resident in Florida, third shot. And nothing wrong with that. It's his third shot, however, on this most difficult hole on the golf course, according to the statistics for the first 2 rounds. There it is, Bruce.
Yes, and again, in yesterday afternoon and all today, it's been playing back into this breeze, and the wind dictating really the way this course plays. It's been a nice sort of 25, it's what the Scots would call a very good golfing day, demanding shot making, but of course it doesn't lead to the electrifying scoring of yesterday.
Well, Curtis Strange, not really in it this time. 5 over, second shot on the 15th hole.
And you could almost draw a parallel perhaps between Curtis Strange and Seve a little bit at the moment, Jim.
Yes.
Sort of nothing's really exciting them about the game of golf.
By the way, the caddy is Curtis's twin brother, Alan. I'll tell you, I sat next to Alan on a plane once, and it was 2 minutes before I realized it wasn't Curtis. Lookalikes.
This 15th hole is a little bit shorter than the 14th, but runs in very much the same direction. 417 yards as opposed to 449. And this one going downhill, whereas the 14th goes uphill.
Well, we're told that Jack Nicklaus has picked up a birdie, going back to 4 over. That still wouldn't make the cut. He needs a lot of birdies. While we were away, this was Seve Ballesteros' second shot on the par 3 7th hole.
And this very difficult. No green to work with, and the big trap to come over.
Meanwhile, we have a new leader. Steve Page has picked up a birdie and is 10 under.
And you saw there Ballesteros' shot. It might have caught on the bank, but it could well be in the sand, and suddenly looking for a 3. No, he's all right, relatively speaking, but they're in 2.
Now we're back live again with Seve. So I'm adjusting his visor from the wind. You see the wind whipping the flag there.
Oh, and he only needed an ounce more than that and would have been in.
Almost.
And Jim, it's very noticeable how much slower these greens are. They're what I call members pace over here. They're a lovely putting surface, but they're nowhere near as fast as the world's top professionals are perhaps used to, either on your tour or on ours over here.
Donnie Hammond now. This is on tape for his par at the 14th hole. He'd gotten to 6 under, 5 under on today's round. But that drops him back to 5 under for the championship, 4 under on today's round, which is still not so bad. Now there, Steve Pate has taken the lead, as we say, with a birdie on the 8th hole. BBC providing us with our pictures today. It's covering just about every place. There are a few holes, however. It's just about impossible to reach, and don't have a camera on that one. Comes tomorrow, we'll have BBC cameras and our ABC cameras, and we can fill in some of those holes. Sandy Lyle, a former champion. Lanny Watkins playing well today after 8 holes. Larry Mize there. Azinger has dropped back a bit after making a charge to 5 under. Cal Kvecki also dropping back after early good play. Billy Andrade at 2 under. Now Mark Brooks. This would be a birdie at the 7th hole.
And it all looks fairly flat down there, Jim, but in fact it's quite a slope up towards the pin and quite a big break from his left. It's an excellent putt, a truly excellent putt. He'll stay at even par.
We'll be seeing a lot more of him in the British Open, I think, and the other major championships, Bruce.
Yes, he made a big impression last week at Glen Eagles when he was over for the Scottish Open.
Curtis Strange again. It's pretty tough when you've won the U.S. Open Championship twice, and here you find yourself fighting, really not even fighting, just playing it out at 5 over. There's a little chance that he'll make the cut. Now, Peter Senior of Australia.
And this is a tremendous streak player. When he gets a sort of sniff of a title, Jim, he's never been afraid to take it. He goes up and down. He's got a few flaws in his game in that he's jumpy on his chips and his putting, and he chips left hand below right.
He does.
And of course he's got the broomstick putter, which he's wielded with tremendous effect. It's for a birdie at the 7th. And he puts pretty well too.
The old broomstick worked that time, didn't it?
And it's amazing, these things. Not very many players have turned to them, particularly on the regular tours. And in the wind, Jim, they're very difficult to control.
Well, he seems to have worked it out and goes to 5 under, 4 under in today's round. Far in from here would give him 67. Maybe he can do even better. So he trudges along through the Ayrshire countryside by the Firth of Forth, which you see in the background.
And this is a view back from down the 7th. And those woods there are, it's a place called Archerfield, which is the home of the Dukes of Hamilton, who've owned large tracts of this part of East Lothian for many years. And then the great, another of the great courses, North Berwick, is just the other side. A very historic, in golfing terms, historic part of the world here.
Oh, can you play a lot of good golf and pleasant golf along this coast? Gillen number 1 and 2, and old Musselburghs up the road.
You could almost play from here to Edinburgh without leaving golf courses. This is some 25 miles.
This is the home of the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers. They had a course elsewhere many, many, many years ago, moved out here, just about 100 years ago.
Spot on 100. In fact, they were 2 places. Once they were in Leith, which is literally only half a mile from the centre of Edinburgh. And then they moved to Musselburgh on the race course there. And then finally, 100 years ago, came here. And this is the 3rd shot of Calcavecchia at the 17th. So it's a par 5, and that putt will still be for a birdie. He's, again, rather like yesterday, a tremendous run early on, got to 5 under, but back to 3 under now.
Former champion, remember, he won this in a playoff in 1989. Now, the new leader, Steve Pate, his 2nd shot at the 9th hole, 504 par 5.
That was actually his 3rd shot, Jim.
I was wondering if that could be his 2nd, as we were told.
Well, he's long, but not that long.
No.
He actually hit a little 9-iron there.
Okay, Jerry, thank you.
Now, this is a marvelous par 5. As you see, 504 yards. And when the wind against that first bunker off the tee is barely within reach, and certainly isn't. And then you play your 2nd well short of that nest of bunkers up the right-hand side near the green. But when the wind is with you, of course, all those sand traps come into play. And therefore it's a good 5 whichever way the wind is blowing.
And so it goes in the British Open Championship. A look at the leaderboard. Pate by 1. That's the story. A tanker moves slowly down the Firth of Forth as we note the cut projection. 80 players at 1 over par or better. It looks like that will be the cut. We could have 80. They cut to the low 70 in ties, right, Bruce?
Low 70 ties, and anyone within 10 shots of the lead, which, of course, last year cost the Royal and Ancient a tremendous amount of money because there were something like 112, 113 qualifiers, all of whom had to get last place money. It cost them something approaching £100,000.
Doesn't look that way this year.
No.
Steve Pate with the birdie attempt at the 9th hole.
He is really putting well today. We saw the birdie putt there on 7. He made a beautiful 15-footer about the same length on number 8. Putt slightly downhill. Once again, the large galleries he and Trevino have are shielding him from the wind. Oh.
Well, it will not be as it was in our Open, where he opened with a 69 and then came back with an 80 on the 2nd day.
He's a great wind player. You know, growing up in California, there's lots of wind out there.
Well, it is kind of a misconception, I guess, that American players really don't play in the wind, because you get out in West Texas or down in Fort Lauderdale or some places in California, well, Pebble Beach in our Open, they're tested in the wind.
And very much, you've only got to look at the scoreboard to as we go back to the 7th Ian Larry Mize.
Former Masters champion. And when he pitched it into the hole to break Greg Norman's heart yet another time. Larry lost a shot to par on the last hole, so he's 3 under for the championship, even for the day. But that could do him some good.
Yes, a fine shot, rather like a pulpit, this green. It's quite a big target, but it looks smaller because it's so mined by bunkers. Now, Per Ulrich Johansson, second to go off tape.
Well, the swing looked good enough, didn't it? But let's see what happens.
Maybe the best of the young Swedes. Let's see how he's doing here. Ooh, that could be heading for
what? Yes. Oh, this is
like gazing up. Oof, that's gone. There's only one place for that, I'm afraid.
He was actually a teammate of Phil Mickelson at Arizona State. Was the Swede Johansson we saw a moment ago.
This is Ernie Els from South Africa, who's really coming good in these championships, fulfilling some of the enormous promise with which he came from South Africa after their summer either side of Christmas.
1 under for the day, 6 under for the championship is Els. Andrew McGee at 4 under. Still playing well.
Get up.
That's the new look of Andrew McGee, the Fu Manchu and the little beard.
Heading for a goatee, I suspect.
Heading for a bunker.
Heading for a bunker.
I don't know what that's heading for, to tell you the truth. Quite a number of them have come out with the hirsute look this week.
That's right. It's Langer and Payne Stewart. Maybe they anticipated getting a little cold.
A little earlier, Peter Alice suggested they needed a touch, what did he say, of the steel and the badger? The badger being an old-fashioned shaving brush?
No, they are still today made of badger's hair. There's shaving brushes over here. You've got to go to Curzon Street in London and find Trumpers is the old shop.
None of these pressurized cans or any of that, huh?
No.
Looking at some of the scores here, all these at 2 under. And not out of it. 2 rounds to go. A lot can happen in the wind in 36 holes. Forecast still that we might get some rain tomorrow, Bruce?
It's possible. They're struggling really to get the correct answer for us.
Andrew McGee, Scottsdale, Arizona. Born in Paris, France, by the way.
This is a very difficult shot at the 13th. Down the wind. He had to hit it hard to get it up and still have enough action on the ball to get it to stop close to the pin. That's an exquisitely good shot.
Andrew playing in his 3rd British Open. He missed the cut in '88, tied for 57th last year. Now here is Johansson with his bunker shot.
You might almost think an identical shot, but this is at the 7th hole. And we saw his tee shot and going in the opposite direction, and almost an identical result. These 2 holes perhaps no more divided by the 11th fairway.
Almost identical looking, the way the bunker was placed, the way the green is, and the way their ball lay. Now we're back to the 13th, the other short hole, and Andrew McGee.
Certainly a tremendous feature of Muirfield golf courses. The fairways are fairly wide, the greens are large, and the bunkers, there are many of them, and they're very deep, and you get underneath the face. Now this is Lee Jansen. And the difficulty here, if you do get it onto the green, it's almost impossible to stop short.
Jansen 4 under for the championship, 1 over for the day. Now Ernie Els, birdie attempt at 7. He's the young South African, remember, 22 years old. On his way to golfing fame, it would appear. Not this time, but there, yeah, that's fine. Tall, 6'2". Now back to Donnie Hammond.
Well, he's got a chance here to recover the shot he lost at the previous hole, and then of course he's got the downwind 16th and 17th to come. This is a big putt.
Oh, Very close.
He's going to stay at 5 under.
Now Larry Mize, the 7th with the birdie attempt. Larry at 3 under. Wasn't that a good-looking putt?
Beautiful putt. But again, the greens are so good. The saying here is, you know you've missed it the moment you've hit it.
Yeah.
And he would have felt that was always just on the high side. But that today I sense, Jim, all the golfers sort of perhaps marking time, jostling to get in behind the leaders, to stay in touch.
Hale Irwin needing this for a par. The 15th hole, not getting it.
He's 1 under par, or was before he dropped a shot there.
Never forget the year that he missed about a 3-inch putt, missed the ball, and casually tried to tap it in. Went on to lose the Open by a single stroke.
Royal Birkdale.
Andrew McGee again at the 13th.
This would be a tremendous 3 if he were to get this. Well, bearing in mind where he was coming from in the bunker. But it's important he does, because he's moving into some very difficult couple of holes.
Shadow, the sun peeping out now.
Well, and that will stand him in very good stead going into holes 14 and 15.
14 playing the most difficult of all the holes on the golf course. Now back to the other par 3, back to the 7th hole, and Per Ulrik Johansson for his par.
And this too would be equally good.
67 yesterday. 1 under today. As you said, he knew it. You know it right away.
Nick Faldo is playing his second shot at 9, has 245 yards to the front edge. Just made a great save at 8. Made about a 10 and 12 footer for a par out of the bunker.
That's Bob Rosberg out on the fairway with Nick.
Right into the wind. He's going to have to kill it to get home.
Well, he's hit a pretty big drive to get there. It's 500 plus yards, so he might just be within range.
Hit it low. Beautiful looking shot.
He killed it all right. He killed it all right. Look at this. Fantastic shot by Nick Faldo. A remarkable blow.
Yes, and a tremendous lift for him. He's been fighting. If anything's been wrong with his game, it's been he hasn't been able to hold the putts in the last few months, particularly when they matter. And he really is a very good striker of the ball. He's probably hitting the ball as well as he has done at any point in his life right now.
Oh, there's the way they stand, Pate by 1 over John Cook and Gordon Brand. Ray Floyd there. But there's Nick Faldo lurking 4 shots off the lead. Chip back at the 7th tee.
And anytime you find the green here at the 7th, you can see the flag there, the little short pins, about 5 feet in height. Anytime you hit this green, it's good. Just have another look at this. And he really, for him, he's got such an even pace swing. You could tell that he gave us a real go. Very good bounce he had, it must be said, off the back of a bunker, lining the right side of the fairway, but take nothing away from the bravery and the quality of that shot.
You'd almost have to play this hole in Muirfield in this wind to understand what a remarkable shot that was.
Yes, and I would reiterate how important it is that these courses have a bit of wind about them. You haven't got any trees, you haven't got very much toughness in the way of rough, and you need a breeze to make their character stand out.
That was a quick look at Jack Nicklaus, and here he is again, maybe playing his way into the history books as far as the U.S. Open or the British Open is concerned. It doesn't look like he'll make the cut.
A lot of sort of upper body movement I felt there, and particularly I noticed it off the first tee. There's not the command, there's not the length of backswing and nor the length of follow through. To me, he seems to be
for the very first time in my life, ever sort of doubting that he can hit a good shot.
Absolutely. There was never any question of doubt for a quarter of a century when he was out there. Now Woosnam, wee Woozy, 5 feet 4 inches tall, and where he gets the strength to hit us as far as he can is a mystery to some people, but not to others. He's a very strong man, isn't he?
Very strong legs, and of course a lovely rhythm throughout. Just bang, bang, whack. He's been a bit up and down today. He's a couple of times got to 7 under and then given the shot back again. But again, found the putting surface. That's what matters.
Woozy at 6 under par is very much in the fight. The people of Scotland gathered for their greatest annual event, the British Open. Seventh hole, Jack Nicklaus's second shot.
And when you're getting a bit long in the tooth, these become a desperately difficult shots. Delicate. And you saw they really hit that a little harder, obviously, than he wanted to, but the softer you hit it, the more likely you are to fluff it.
It's never been the strongest part of Jack's game. Now Duffy Waldorf for a birdie. Oh, so he'll appear stay at 2 under. Wonder where he got that cap.
Yes, maybe needs a sort of dress consultant. Maybe would be a little bit of a help.
Now Donnie Hammond.
This from the back of the 16th green, the last of the par 3s, and it's a combination of downhill and into the breeze, which is really, you've got to stick in your personal computer and try and work out. And many golfers today have found that difficult to get right.
Now let's move over to the 9th hole, because Nick Faldo has a great opportunity, an opportunity for an eagle that would gain him 2 strokes against par and move him into 4th place, jumping ahead of Ray Floyd, who shot even par 71 today. Well, there you see it. Faldo would jump ahead of Floyd, just behind Pate, Cook, and Brand.
And an important putt, obviously, from his score, but it would be a big blow were he to miss it, I think, psychologically. Not so.
All right. There it is. He goes to 8 under par for the championship. And 3 under on today's round. On this hole, 20 years ago, we recall Lee Trevino and Tony Jacklin battling for the championship. Both had eagles on that hole. Some other scores alphabetically for you. There's Billy Andrade having a good championship at 2 under. Paul Azinger is at 3 under. Still on the golf course, as you see, after 10 holes. Chip Beck at 1 under. Some of the others here, Gordon Brand, of course, the Scot at 9 under. Mark Brooks at even par.
Darren Clark, a new name on the European tour. Mike Clayton from Australia. Keith Leo, Jose Cocheras from the Argentine. Andrew Coulthard, a Walker Cup player of 4 years ago. Freddie Couples, who won't be with us for the last 2 days, sadly. John Daly is right on the mark.
Yeah, he's close. Whether he's going to qualify or not. Steve Elkington at 4 under. Ernie Els, the South African, whom we've been seeing.
Gary Evans, a Walker Cup player from last year, doing one of the best converts to the professional game. There's Faldo, of course. David Fairty, right on the mark. Raymond Floyd, I thought a very courageous round. Didn't play, obviously, as well as yesterday, but did pretty well.
Jim Gallagher from the American Tour there. Wayne Grady from Australia, even par for the championship. Alphabetically, we're showing you the scores here at the British Open.
There's Donnie Hammond boy with just 3 holes left to play. Andrew Hare, who was yet another amateur who's making his way in the professional game. Mike Harwood of Australia, who promised a lot 2 years ago, hasn't quite fulfilled that promise.
Is Justin Hobday kin to Simon Hobday? Oh,
yes, he is. A nephew, I think.
Nephew. Hale Irwin there, one of the great players of our time. Lee Jansen having a good championship. Young Johansson from Sweden and Brigham Young University. Kevin Jones, a club pro over here. Played very well yesterday and dropping back today.
Tom Kite again
carrying on a little bit where he left off from Pebble Beach. Bernhard Langer started a little bit better than that, is disappointing, hasn't trained quite through today. Paul Laurie from Scotland. And the amateur Darren Lee, tremendous 2-round total because he's not a fully blown international over here yet.
Davis Love, a big disappointment this week here in Scotland. He won't be around for the weekend. Sandy Lyle at 4 under. Had it going even better than that, but he dropped back on the last few holes. Andrew McGee still at 4 under. Jeff Maggart at 2 under.
Craig Mann got into the qualifying class with a round of 62 on one of the local courses. Paul Mayo, Rocco Mediate.
Colin Montgomery, the Scot, looks like he won't make it. He was a big hope before this began. Jody Mudd always plays well in the British Open, and there he is again at 2 under par for the championship.
Mike McLean, he's fallen away. Mark McNulty's still got a little work to do. Nicholas needs birdies, no doubt about that. And Greg Norman, he will be disappointed with that total.
Olazabal, there you see him, the young Spaniard at 5 under. Everyone expecting him to win a major championship sometime soon. Jumbo Ozaki from Japan will not make it, neither will his brother Joe.
Corey Pavin, pretty much on the mark. Gary Player, sadly, played well yesterday. And Nick Price, a lot of people fancied him at the beginning of the championship.
Tom Pertzer, the man with the perfect swing at 5 under for the championship. He has a shot. Ronan Rafferty playing well, Wayne Riley, and Larry Rinker there, who came over to qualify.
Qualified very well. Constantino Rocca, who's been really a surprise package on the European Tour after years of anonymity.
B.J. Singh of Fiji at even par. Jeff Sluman, we thought he might have a shot, but there he is at 2 over. Won't win it this year.
Curtis Strange struggling with his game as he has been. Sam Torrance right on the mark. Trevino out there still pulling the crowds. And Greg Turner from New Zealand won't be there.
Bob Tway, the former PGA champion there. Mitch Boges, the American amateur champion, will not make the cut. Lenny Watkins, though, is right in the fight again. Duffy Waldorf at 2 under.
All these players are beyond the mark. David Williams, though, he's an Englishman with a chance. Mike Welsh, the amateur, who is a great future predicted for him.
Looking like the cut at 1 or 2 over, huh? And Gary Wolstenholme, the British amateur champion, will not make. Now Nicholas with his par attempt. This is on tape. The 7th hole. Touch goes back once in a while.
Man, that was lovely to see. Warm reception.
Well, there's much more to come in the British Open Golf Championship, and we'll be back for it. Right now, let's go to Dan Debenham and Chris Myers in Bristol, Connecticut. They have a Sports Center update for us. So we'll return to the British Open after Sports Center right now. Back at the British Open, and while you were at Sports Center, this shot occurred. Almost history at the British Open. Watch Donnie Hammond's shot. It's the second shot on the par 5 17th hole.
And almost coming from the wrong side of the fairway, the right-hand side. He's cut it up. It's with the breeze. Has to pitch it sort and hope and pray.
Watch. That would have been a double eagle, or what do you call it over here?
An albatross is our word for that. Very similar shot to Greg Norman's this morning. He did much the same sort of thing.
Here's the way they stand at this moment. Now Steve Pate by 1 over Nick Faldo. Faldo having picked up another birdie, and John Cook and Gordon Brand Jr. Ray Floyd had even par round today. Ernie Els sliding just a little bit. The young South African Olazabal is there, finished at 5 under. Lanny Watkins 5 under after 11. Keep an eye on him.
Donnie Hammond might change page there. I think go upwards one with after that second shot.
Yep. Now for the eagle.
Break from his left. He's hit it firmly in the middle.
Yes, Donnie Hammond with the eagle goes to 7 under for the championship at a tie with Ray Floyd just behind Pate, Faldo, Cook, and Brand. It's tightening up.
And I've been tremendously impressed with the way that the American players have been handling conditions that are not very familiar.
And we've been admiring the fact that more American players are giving up a couple of weeks on our tour and a chance to make some money to come over here and qualify. they may not even get to play here, and Donnie Hammond was one of them.
Well, that's right. I think I've heard a number saying that they feel that their sort of golfing education and their resumes, if you like, aren't complete without a bit of a record in other parts of the world.
Here's Lee Jansen.
It's a very long putt, this, and it goes across a saddle in the middle of this green. So the great thing is to get the strength of this putt right.
Remember, in 1964, Tony Lima was a rising star, but he had never come over here and didn't plan to. But Arnold Palmer talked to him, and he said, Tony, you're going to be a great player, but if you're going to be a world's great player, you must play in the British Open. He said, this year it's at St. Andrews. You should play in that one. He said, I'm not going. I forget why Arnold wasn't going. But he said, I'll tell you what, I'll lend you my caddy if you go over. And Tony came over, young Tip Anderson, young Tip at that time, caddied for him, and he won it.
And the reverse is true, and I think certainly the Faldos and the Ballesteroses and Langers and people, I think their greatness has come because they have competed in America. And I think if this side of the Atlantic is going to produce the stars that they have been, they have got to spend the springs in America and on the American tour, get their card over there and compete there, the Montgomerys and the Richardsons.
Mm-hmm.
And if I get the opportunity, I would pass that on to them.
Maybe you just have, or somebody will relay it. Larry Mize now on the 9th hole, par 5, his third shot.
Yes, he was in the rough off the tee on the right, had to play up sort of between one set of bunkers and the next. And this is the hole, of course, where Faldo crushed 2 wooden shots to within 5 feet and made his 3. And you can just see the pin on the right of the big bank of players, bank of spectators.
Shot. And a good one. Donnie Hammond, by the way, has not been playing that well at home, Bruce. Aside from a tie for 11th in the Byron Nelson Classic, he's really done just about nothing in 13 tournaments. Suddenly puts it together over here.
Well, again, a different set of circumstances and conditions, playing conditions, different golf course, different environment, and can often work. They say a change is as good as the rest. This is the big South African, Ernie Els, who's, well, as I say, he was very big news is in his own country, but he's playing in a totally different league now and very well. His third shot to the 9th. Now that by
They won 4 tournaments down there in South Africa with such names as the Swazi Open and that sort of thing. But they do a number of good players, as we know. Now here's Donnie Hammond again. 6 under in today's round.
2 of them at the last, and it's again a nice generous fairway. Most of the trouble up the left-hand side, but none of it. So there's just the solitary bunker on the right, and that's position A. It back into the breeze from right to left.
Now young Johansson from Sweden.
This is the third member of the Eels and Mize group. That's his third shot.
You've just joined us. It's a very pleasant day here in Scotland. The temperature, I don't know, almost 70, wouldn't you say, Bruce? Very pleasant. The wind kicking up and very pleasant to walk around in, but difficult for the players today. It's not one of those real howlers off the Firth of Forth, but it's a factor.
It's quite muggy for humid compared as we watch Lanny Watkins play to the short 30, down the wind.
Go!
Pin, and this is he going to stay out there? No. Now this could do an Andy McGee off to the left, but he's again left himself. Really, the only club from there is a putter, because you can't take a wedge and pitch it up the top and stop it. Just 157 yards down the breeze, but the pin cut very close to that bank, which is the front part of the green.
Lanny, 4 under on today's round, and as you saw, 6 under for the championship. He's played himself into contention, and when he does that, he is a bulldog. He won't give up.
But he's another player who hasn't really had the sort of year you would expect of him this year, I understand.
That's right.
Wayne Riley, the Mac the Mouth, in a sense, of very entertaining character. He's turned to a long putter and instantly won the Australian Open this winter. Very quick, hard swing, mercurial player.
On the 9th, Larry Mize. 8 shots off the lead right now. But it looks like he'll make the cut, because he still has the back 9 to play. Bernhard Langer of Germany on the par 3, 13th hole.
Another of the beards, yeah?
Yes.
The embryo beards.
So it's not limited to American Idol, it's some sort of international festival of hair. I don't know.
A Viking, he looks like. It's actually quite... I think it suits him better than any of the others. Anyway, level today, and level par every hole he's played. And for the last 2 weeks, he's been fighting a hook. We've noticed that sort of spiraling of the left wrist, trying to stop the right hand taking over, and it's not been wholly successful. He led last week by 3 shots going into the last round.
Steve Pate and Jerry Pate, no kin to Steve, is out there. How's it going?
Well, he's playing extremely well, Jim, and I think we must be related somehow. I know when both of us play golf, we like to throw a few clubs and swear a little bit and have a drink when we get through.
Listen, you weren't claiming him after he shot 80 in the U.S. Open. Suddenly he's irrelevant.
Well, I met his dad today, and his dad said that was very true, what I just stated.
All right.
A long putt for birdie here from about 35 feet. Breaking sharply from his left to his right.
On it goes, Steve Pate with that for a par to remain at 10 under in this championship and in the lead by that single stroke. Back at the British Open, Jim McKay here with Bruce Critchley of the BBC, former Walker Cup player. And this is the 18th hole, 448 yards, par 4, with the wind blowing from right to left. And that's what Donnie Hammond is playing right now. If this young man should by any chance win the British Open, he'd become the most famous native of Frederick, Maryland since Barbara Fritchie. I'll bet you don't know who Barbara Fritchie is.
nor the place you mentioned that, Jim.
Frederick, Maryland, that's where he was born. I'll tell you when we have time about Barbara Fritchie.
Right. But a very good shot he's played there. Exactly the right club. Kept it up the right-hand side, didn't tangle with the bunker over the left-hand side.
On tape now, Ernie Els for a birdie at the 9th hole, the par 5. Barbara Fritchie, Bruce, was a lady in Frederick who hung out an American flag during our Civil War. Longfellow wrote a poem about it because as the Confederate troops came up, "Shoot if you must this old gray head," she said, "but spare your country's flag."
Lovely.
Barbara Fritchie. Jansen.
My education has been improved.
Well, at least, you know, it's a little bar bets and things like that.
Now, this is Lee Jensen's been one of the rare players to miss this 16th green. It's a big target. It's down the breeze. And that's a very crooked shot with what wouldn't have been more than a 7-iron. But plenty of green with which to work. And equipment with which to do it.
Let's go back down course to the 9th hole, the par 5, and the 3rd shot of Jack Nicklaus.
Yes, he's laid up fairly close to the out-of-bounds wall, the Grey Walls wall, or the hotel just there. It's called Grey Walls after the wall. And looking to make that would look very good in the air to him, right on line with the flag, and sat down very quickly. You would have expected it to sit down.
Now all the way up to the 9th or the 18th green. This course, by the way, goes, the first 9 holes go clockwise around the outside. The back 9 goes counterclockwise around the inside. So you get all angles of the wind.
That's right, and never, very rarely, 2 holes in the same direction. And this is going to be just about the best round of the day. 6 under par so far for today's round. This 2 putts from here will give him a round of 65. 1 will give him a round of 64.
And what's the result? 65, which is just 1 stroke off the 64s turned in yesterday, which were first-round British Open records.
And on a much calmer day than we've got today, Jim. And
yes.
That's, in quality, I would say, probably better than the 64s. Helped, of course, by that great 3 at the 17th.
There was a small shadow of what might come with him in 1990. 2 years ago, Donnie Hammond finished 8th in this championship. People didn't notice it too much.
Ian Woosnam must have been in trouble off the tee at the 9th for having a third shot of that length, probably found the rough or one of the bunkers up the left-hand side, but he's played a fine shot, given himself a chance of a birdie.
Woosnam at 6 under. Now on 14, the most difficult hole on the golf course so far. Birdie attempt, Azinger, no.
And his round, really, he was 4 under after 5 holes, after 6 holes, and stumbled at the 7th, and as so often happens, the momentum went. And it took 5 there at the short hole, and it's been sort of pars since then. And it's very difficult for a golfer to sort of recover the birdie charge, the birdie surge.
Isn't that an interesting shot behind the leaderboard there? The serpentine look of the crowd is filtering its way around this golf course. They're everywhere, probably 25 to 30,000 today.
Looks like blood running through sort of veins almost of the course.
The veins of the Open. That's nice. I like that.
But it's, again, these links courses with their natural grandstands, they're able to absorb tremendous numbers of people, all of who can see. That said, there's some 17,000 prefabricated seats put in by the Royal and Ancient, who are the custodians of the Open Championship.
But there we can see, Bruce, how it goes around and then around on the inside again. On the lower left-hand part of your screen, there's the first hole. Then you see 2 on the extreme left. Then 3, 4, 5 at the top, 6, 7 the short hole, then 8 down in the right-hand corner, 9 comes back to the clubhouse, and then they start on the inside. See 10 going straight up, 11, then 12, leftish there at the top, 13, 14 comes down, 15 takes you to the left, 16 back, 17 takes a little curve, and then 18 comes back to the clubhouse. But it is a very interesting configuration.
It is. The design, of course, of old Tom Morris. He was almost the first one who actually who went away from the sort of 9 out and 9 back that you find at St Andrews and places like Troon, and designed it so that particularly so that you'd have different challenges every hole in whatever the prevailing wind there was of the day.
And since tweaked up by Harry Colt, is it, of Sunningdale and down where you live?
He's the secretary there. Steve Pate at the 13th.
157 yards with an 8-iron downwind. That one needs to get down a little bit. Had a lot of club.
Steve is 3 under on today's round to get to 10 under.
I think of the 2 options, which is either to be short of this green below the bank or at the back, I'd prefer to be where he is.
Azinger's par putt, meanwhile. Wind looks about the same, doesn't it, Bruce? Looking at our viewpoint here at 18.
Yes.
The flags.
It's been very constant all day, and I think those that were out early yesterday and late today possibly have a marginal advantage. Lee Trevino.
Lee with a 9-iron. 157. Sounded like he hit it in the top part of the club. Needs to get up. And did. He got a really good bounce there.
Lee at even par for the championship right now.
Yes, he's dropped a couple of shots since the start of play and getting a little nervous about making the cut as we go to Nicholas with this left to right putt for a birdie at the 9th. Right on line. Still trying, and will, with the last, he and the great players, they never do anything other than give 110%.
Exactly right. We saw him and Tom Watson fighting to make the cut in the U.S. Open just a few weeks ago. They didn't make it, but they sure tried. Years ago, in the final round, he was 6 shots behind starting the final round. At the end of 9, he had taken the lead by shooting a 32. eventually losing out to Trevino.
Now Woosnam, again, the break from left to right, this green falls from right to left as our picture looks it. Rather like the cut of the line of the front fringe of this green.
Okay, much more to come. I want to thank you, Bruce Critchlow, again for being with us.
It's been a pleasure, Jim.
And we'll share an exciting weekend, I think.
Indeed.
Wind still whipping the flag at the British Open as Steve Pate surveys his birdie putt at the 13th hole, the par 3. It's a long one. Ooh, look out, look out.
Needs to slow down a little bit.
Yeah. Now, on the 12th hole, here was Nick Faldo's second shot on this 381-yard par 4.
It's from 131 yards with a 7-iron.
Backing up just a bit. Faldo, who has climbed to within a stroke of the lead, is 4 under par for the day. 1 shot behind Jerry Pate. Steve Pate. We're going to do that more than once this weekend, I think. Steve Pate. And equal with John Cook and Gordon Brand. Lee Trevino.
Trevino hit a super little putt here going uphill. Excuse me, it's a super shot playing this putt uphill.
Now that is Jerry Pate. Lee, at even par for the championship, looks like he'll make the cut. At age 52, that's not bad. Now we'd like to welcome, again from the BBC, outstanding Scottish teaching professional, longtime BBC commentator, Alex Hay. Alex, we were talking before about how long it's been since a Scot has won the British Open in Scotland. Of course, the last two to do it had actually become American citizens by that time, Tommy Armour and Jock Hutchison. You have to go all the way back to James Braid, don't you, in 1910?
Yes, indeed. It's a long history this championship has, and unfortunately the Scots did claim American citizenship as soon as they got across there. My famous Scotsman, of course, Tommy Armour, the Silver Scot, coming from Edinburgh, and we're all rather proud of what he got up to in the United States. But it's been a wonderful day in this championship. I think that the American golfer, John Cook, that wonderful performance, and I just feel that we really have an international field here. Gordon Brand Jr., they're going along so well. It is fantastic. I'm hoping that Steve Pate will withstand the wind. The wind is getting up a little bit. I'm hoping that Steve Pate, his swing will just keep going because he is playing some superb golf. I'm sure that you're proud of him.
Well, here he is, Steve Pate for the par at 13. A little bit of a tester here. In fact, quite a bit of a tester. Yeah. So he loses one, and we now have a 4-way tie for the lead. Steve Pate, Nick Faldo has moved into a tie for the lead. John Cook, who's finished his round, and Gordon Brand, who finished much earlier today. So we have a battle going on. 2 strokes behind those, we have Ray Floyd and Donnie Hammond, who just finished with a 65. Another stroke back, Woosnam and Els, the young South African. It's going to be some battle to the finish of the British Open. Have a look at some of the others there. Olazabal of Spain, Lanny Watkins fighting on, Craig Parry, Tom Pertzer, Johansson, and Rinker. All right, here's Paul.
160 yards for Rasinger. Second shot at the 15th.
Mark Rolfing with that group.
Nick Faldo here at the 12th hole, an opportunity of a birdie at this par 4. 9 under. That wonderful eagle that he had at the 9th hole that really got him into this situation. He has this putt to take the outright lead. Steve Pate just dropping a shot, coming back towards him. Faldo, one of the best putters over this distance, 8 or 10 feet here. Just have a look at the hands there. He always keeps his hands quite well away from his thighs. He backs up from the ball and the hands are high. They work rather in one piece. The whole thing comes from the shoulders, the upper arms, allowing for quite a big break. And he is fired up, Jim.
And now, just that quickly, Nick Faldo has taken the lead by himself. 10 under par, 5 under for the day. Let's check in with Duffy Waldorf very quickly at the 16th. That was for a birdie, but he didn't make it. You like the hat there, Alex? Is it?
Well, I'm not sure if you'd get membership at the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers wearing it, but he'd be popular somewhere. Disney World in France, I think.
The new Disney World, huh? Okay, so on it goes. Good deal more coverage here today on ESPN. Faldo in the lead. This was the birdie attempt of Ian Baker Finch, the defender, the holder of the British Open Championship at the 9th hole a moment ago. And down it went, second birdie in a row for him to get him to 1 under for the championship. So he certainly wouldn't want to miss the cut here. It looks to be in no danger at the moment.
To the 13th. To the 13th tee, the short 13th, 157 yards. And like so many holes, the wind behind there, you see it's just a mass of bunkers up both sides. And they're so deep, the bunkers here, 7 or 8 feet down into the bottom of them. But Faldo will be absolutely charged up. The fact that he's gone into the lead in a championship that he'd so dearly love to win. The Irish Open is all that he's won this year, all that he won the year before. So very important to him.
Faldo, I think, is going to take a 9-iron and try and just hit a good, solid shot. If you take an 8 here, you risk the possibility of coming off it, not hitting it very solidly, and anything to the right here is very, very bad. If you're going to miss, you want to miss left.
It's Bob Rosberg on the fairway.
Well, he takes a bit of beating, Faldo, when his confidence is up, his swing so beautifully honed in, ready for this championship.
There's several birdie holes left. Vijay Singh for a birdie, up on the 15th.
This is a putt he needs. He's 3 over for the day, 1 over for the championship.
But not to be. So he'll remain at 1 over. Marginal cut. What do you think, Alex? One or two over, probably?
Well, you know, Jim, it all depends on the wind on the closing stages. Golf goes on so long out here. This is Peter Baker here we're watching, playing with Nick Faldo. Sorry, Peter Mitchell, I do beg your pardon. Young golfer from just south of London, who won the Austrian Open with a 62 in the first round and the same in the fourth round. Would you believe it?
Alex, he's a pretty impressive-looking player to me.
Yes, he's one of my favorite players. He's a very charming young man. He's gone through his career mainly unsponsored, but he's held in there, and now it's beginning to pay rewards. He couldn't believe that he'd get such a good draw in the opening rounds of the championship.
Some of it seems to have rubbed off on him. He's 1 under.
The other man in the group, the Australian golfer, Craig Parry.
He of the tremendous arms, short in stature.
Yes, Popeye, we call him in Europe. Level for his round today. Looks like an 8-iron, could be 7.
Okay.
So 3 players nicely tucked on the lawn.
Now Mark Brooks at the 12th hole. Mark is at even par for the championship. He shot an even par 71 yesterday. He has parred every single hole today.
Well, there's a look at the 12th hole. It's one of the easier holes of this golf course. They say there are 18 great holes on it, and this one probably allows you a little bit of a margin. Mark Brooks just over to the left-hand side here. Played so well in the Scottish Open, was actually leading at one stage, just fell away in the closing stages. But looking forward to a great 2 weeks he was, and he's going along very nicely here at Muirfield. I love the way that he punches the ball. He gets this wonderful connection into the seaside turf and generates backspin like that. That was one of the best iron shots we've seen today.
Lee Trevino.
216 yards. Nobody can hit a 1-iron like this. That ball's not 10 feet off the ground. Low and running.
He's got all the shots, doesn't he?
Oh, he stays right on top of that right side. Look at this shot. That ball's rolling 50 yards.
Sure is. Former champion Lee Trevino. Now, there you see that the 14th is the most difficult hole according to statistics so far. Second most difficult are the first and the last, which is kind of interesting that they team up that way. The easiest holes are the 3 par 5s, and that figures here. So, let's go back to Steve Pate now.
Steve, with a big drive here right in the middle of the fairway, has 196. Wind back into his face with a 3-iron. He's going to need to take this ball down low, and the best way to do that is play it a little back in your stance and choke down on it. He's lost it to the right.
A little chink in the armor of Steve Pate beginning to appear. He just bogeyed the last hole, and now bad shot on this one at the very time that Faldo is charging at his 5 under par for the day. That's the way they stand. Now we're going to go down to Frank Hannigan with that. I don't know whether Donnie Hammond knows he's the most famous native of Frederick, Maryland, since Barbara Fritchie, but we'll go down there.
Thank you, Jim. Famous or not, he shot the best round of the day today, 65. Congratulations.
Thanks, Frank. Yeah, I was real happy with it. I couldn't have played much better. Made 1 or 2 bogeys, actually 2 bogeys today, but made a lot of birdies and just played real solid all day. I couldn't have played much better.
Donnie, you, as I remember from back when we first talked at Turnberg, became a lover of the British Open. Is that why you come over every year?
Yeah, I'm set on coming over every year, whether I have to qualify or not, like I did this year. You know, I just heard so many good things about Muirfield. I had to come over and try to qualify here, and I was lucky to get through the qualifier, and looks like it's working out pretty good so far.
Well, speaking of great things at Muirfield, we're going to rack up and show you your second shot on the par 5 17th hole, and why don't you describe it for us?
Well, it's a 5-iron. It's about 225 downwind. Just wanted to land it about 15 yards short of the green, 20 yards. I hit it right at the pin, just like I wanted to, with some spin on it. I heard some oohs and ahs, so it must have been, looks good. Go in. I didn't know it was that close. I might have fallen down out there.
Well, that's great. Now listen, Jim McKay, who think he sort of Mr. Maryland, has been saying that Frederick, Maryland, Donnie Hammond, and maybe the most famous person since Barbara Fritchie. Do you know who Barbara Fritchie is?
Was that a school teacher of mine? No, Barbara Fritchie was a famous historical lady that used to. She used to put a lot of the soldiers up in her home and take care of them. And well, she has a great restaurant up there that I used to eat at all the time. But Frederick's a famous city, and it was a great place to grow up.
Terrific. Thanks, Donnie. Good luck over the weekend. Back to you, Mr. Maryland.
Yes, Frank. Thank you. I knew Donnie would know that, for heaven's sake. Barbara cooked a nice apple pie. She was a wonderful woman at that time.
Steve Pate with a really good lie here, although he missed the green. Got a lot of green to work with, taking a pitching wedge. He's going to bump it and run it. Needs to get up a little bit.
Oh, boy.
You can see the pressure mounting when you start seeing players leave shots like that short, leaving them out to the right, holding on.
What a mental game this is, Alex.
Yes, indeed it is. And as I said when I first joined you, I just wanted to see if this young man's swing would hold up. The crucial holes here are 14 and 15, the last sort of two into the wind. Once he gets to 16 and 17 there with the wind, 18 is from the right, which is always the easiest wind. But he had to get through these two holes.
Meanwhile, Nick Faldo will have a birdie attempt at the 13th hole, the par 3.
He has been rock solid with this putter today, Jim. He has putted just beautifully. Aside from the birdie putts, he made a couple of great par putts early.
There is his caddy, Fanny Sunesson, Scandinavia.
Yes, she's been off for 4 or 5 weeks with a lot of back trouble. He gave her a good rest before coming back into action for the championship here.
Well, that's a tough disease for a caddy, a back problem.
Yes, well, one has to put it down a little bit to the weight of some of these golf bags, I think. I'm not sure young ladies should carry them all.
Okay. There is the leader in the British Open Golf Championship. The favorite before it began, and he has seized the lead. There's how they stand in the British Open second round of play, coming to you live from Muirfield in the Ayrshire coast of Scotland. A windy day, a warm day, and Nick Faldo has seized the lead by a single stroke over John Cook, Steve Pate, and Gordon Brand Jr. of Scotland. There you see some of the others, the pursuers here. Larry Rinker had a fine round today. He came over and qualified, as did Donnie Hamilton from the United States. Sandy Lyle, a former champion. Lanny Watkins making a bit of one of his patented charges. Steve Pate for a par at the 14th hole. And he drops a stroke for the second hole in a row, goes down to 8 under, and instead of being the sole leader as he was before the last hole, he is now in 4th place.
To the 13th, to Ballesteros. Seve's played some wild iron shots today. But this one, a little bit like the old Ballesteros. Even with the tailwind, he stops it just short of the flag. 2 over for the round today, 1 over for the championship. And he is very close to the predicted cut. The computer's saying 1 over will be the figure. If the wind could just get up a little stronger, you see it blowing there in the background with the long grass, then it might sneak up just a shot. Now, Peter Senior of Australia, 3 under. Watch the right shoulder fly up when he hits this one.
Ooh, he does get up high there, doesn't he?
Yes, it's a characteristic, but he's a tournament winner here in Europe this year. He won at the Benson and Hedges in Cornwall.
I think that's worth another look, Alex. Haven't seen a swing exactly like that.
Yes, it is. Watch this. Now, he's very orthodox to there. He's got a lot of hand action. His posture is well over. As he moves into the backswing, you'll see a good deal of hand action. Still, he looks very good. He's a very solid swinger, extremely well over the ball. But look at the wrist cock. A lot of action goes in now. And as he strikes, the right side of the body comes shooting up high. The shoulders are horizontal. And it all looks so uncomfortable. The right leg flies out accordingly.
But it works for him.
It does.
Steve Pate now, 2 bogeys in a row. He must steady. The 15th is not an easy hole. Very slow backswing he has.
Well, he made a great swing there, Jim. That's a driver right down the center. Big drive.
There it is, Alex.
Yes, the 15th hole, a slight dog leg. That bunker on the right when you start from the bottom, and there's 3, then up on the right there's another one. That's gone in recent years. That's not on the original yardage charts. It's 417 yards. Steve Pate has hit a beautiful shot, just threading his way through those 2. You'll have a look at his golf swing. It's a beautiful swing. It's an elegant swing. It's extremely slow as he moves into the backswing. Everything is very orthodox here. It's a nice turn. I like the way that he introduces the wrist action into the swing. There's not a lot of leg work. You see the left heel is very flat on the ground. Then an extra amount of wrist action as the shaft goes over horizontal. There it goes, drops down behind him, and from there he's got to time it out, and timing seems to be the essence of his swing. It is quite a joy to watch. Beautiful shot, that one.
Quite a bit of the sand of Muirfield is on this hole. 13 bunkers of the 147 that are scattered around.
Yes, I think they might have added a few more. I think they've got over 150 now. They keep digging them out.
Keeping you up to date on that leaderboard because it flows to and fro. Andrew McGee, 1 hole to play, 4 under there. Johansson, he's got a long way to go. He's only finished 10 holes. So is Chip Beck, and he's 2 under par. Peter Sr., we're just looking at 3 under after 12. Now Craig Parry on the most difficult hole, the 14th, second shot.
From 205. Wind not blowing quite as hard.
Nope, not what he had in mind. Now, Alex, why exactly is this playing as the most difficult hole on the golf course, would you say?
Well, it's well over 400 yards, and you can't really crack it to tee shot. You see the 3 bunkers up the left-hand side. That rather takes the hard hit out. If you go for a big one and hook it, then you're in trouble. So the players tend to lay up and leave a very long second shot. It's actually the strength of Nick Faldo's game, the 2 and 3 irons. He may be better off than most players, better equipped than most to handle it.
Nick has 195. Hit a beautiful drive.
Just knocked it back.
Hole high. A bit away from it. So the man who won 5 years ago here for his first British Open championship may be headed for it again, and he can't wait to get there. Back at the British Open, Seve Ballesteros for a birdie at the short 13th hole. He's 1 over, marginal for the cut. This would help him a lot. Oh, yes, he gets back to even par for the championship, and if he can stay that way the rest of the way in, he should make it all right. Now, the man of the short name and the long drives, Ernie Els.
Yes, the South African player who's devastated them all in South Africa this winter. But since he arrived on the British shores, he hasn't really done anything until this week. And this is much better golf from Els. It's what we've all hoped for.
7 under par, he is a contender for this championship, only 3 strokes off the lead. Bernhard Langer at 15 for the par. And like so many of the big name players, he's not a contender at the moment, 10 shots off the lead. Andrew McGee, even par for the day, 4 under for the championship.
I'm just amazed, Jim, at how many Americans have decided to grow beards. Is this something that's become a tradition across there?
I don't know. It's just been this week, and Langer has caught the disease also, so it's not only the Americans.
Yes, well, we saw him last week at the Scottish Open, Langer with it, but we haven't seen some of the American guests who've arrived this week.
Are razors?
Payne Stewart's another, isn't he?
Yeah. Are razors very expensive over here?
Everything's expensive to the Scots. I don't know how it is to the Americans, but he's got a Scottish name, this one. And a costly miss there for Andrew McGee there. I think the green's very honest. This golf course is known as an honest golf course, the most honest one we have, certainly, in Europe.
So he ends up with a 1 over par round of 72, par here 71. Now back to 15, Rivero.
Yes, Jose Rivero, the Spanish professional, used to be a teaching professional at Madrid, and then the Spanish Golf Federation decided to fund him onto the tour. And what a good job that was.
Lee Trevino will be hitting next in this group.
160 yards with a little knockdown 5-iron. Going to take it in from left to right. Pins on the right. Ball should kick right back towards the flag and does.
How'd you know he was going to do that?
Well, the pin's on the right. He's got all the shots. As a matter of fact, it's remarkable. If his putting was on, he'd be right there. I was really impressed that Steve, after 2 bogeys, came back with a perfect tee shot. He has 157 yards, going to hit a little 6-iron, try to keep it down. And right now, he just has to regain his confidence. He's playing well, he's putting well, he just let 2 get away from him. That is a nice-looking swing, but the ball is just up in the air too high. You got to keep it down. The wind's peeling it out to the right.
Sure is. So he's off the green again. Ernie Els' birdie attempt at 12 would bring him to 8 under. So he'll stay at 7 under, 2 under for the day.
To the 14th to Faldo. Faldo for an opportunity at this, one of the toughest holes on the course. This for a birdie. It's rather a lot to ask for 15 or 16 yards. There's the beautiful grip, the reverse overlap. Watch how they stay together, the forearms.
He has the bit in his teeth. Nick Faldo goes to 6 under for today, 11 under for the championship. He has a 2-stroke lead. And that birdie on the toughest hole on the golf course.
Yes, that's almost worth 2 shots on the field, Jim, isn't it?
Yes.
I think he really is in the right frame of mind as we look down the leaderboard at Faldo leading by the 2 shots from John Cook, Gordon Brand Jr. of Scotland at 9 under.
Larry Mize at the 12th birdie attempt. So many of them are so close, but the next little one counts just the same as a drive. 1 under, Larry.
Playing at the 14th along with Nick Faldo is Craig Parry, who's 4 under. This also for a birdie 3. He's been able to look at Faldo's line, but he hasn't been able to follow it. He's just pulled that over to the left. It'll tap in for a par 4. Stocky little chap, ideal for the winds on this East Lothian coastline.
Now, we have Johansson at the 12th. Par putt. You sitting in your living room at home or hearing the cry of the gulls on the Firth of Forth through the magic of television.
Yes, that's why it's called Gullen to the locals, but everybody else seems to call it Gillen. It's always been a mystery to us. Having come from this part of the world, we always knew it as Gullen for the seagulls. Now, Steve Pate, a very important shot for him. Wisely, I think, using a putter. The fringes at Muirfield very short, cut almost to green level, and they're very dry. Just bobbled a little bit on him. It's a good one. What a response to Faldo's putt.
And was that an important shot? Just when it looked like he could be in danger of taking his 3rd consecutive bogey, he comes back with the birdie.
Yes, there's so many parts of a championship that are called turning points. This could be one of them.
That's right. So he's now 9 under, tied with John Cook and Gordon Brand, 2 behind Nick Faldo. There's the way they stand.
In 1986, the Sony Corporation, acknowledging that golf is increasingly a truly international game, conceived a worldwide ranking system published weekly that finally allowed the comparison of top-ranked golfers around the world. Since its inception, only 6 players have headed the Sony rankings. Currently, that honor lies with Fred Couples, the 1992 Masters champion.
It's about 5:45 in the late afternoon on the Ayrshire coast of Scotland. Nick Faldo leads the British Open, and here he is. 15th tee. It's a 2-stroke lead now over John Cook, Steve Pate, and Gordon Brand.
Yes, Faldo just turning on a real touch of class over the last few minutes. Ever since the eagle at the 9th, he's just brought a brand of golf back we've been waiting in this side of the Atlantic to see. And now Peter Mitchell. And for those who love watching golf swings, as I certainly do, this is one that's worth looking at. I think the young man has quite a future. The Austrian Open champion he is. Good posture and a beautiful swing. I think he's thoroughly enjoying his day out with Nick Faldo. Just passed him there ungraciously by about 30 yards, just to show him he's not the longest. Here's one of the longest at the 13th, Ernie Els.
The 22-year-old. Shot. Faldo, after the eagle at 9, came back with a birdie at 10, a birdie at 12, a birdie at 14. Here's his tee shot again.
Yes, that gives you an idea of the confidence in the man. He's actually not going for length. He's holding the swing beautifully controlled. And there, the lovely Gullen Bay across there, Gullen Hill, and looking away westwards towards Edinburgh.
Beautiful corner of the world. They're some of the friendliest people you'll find anywhere on earth, I think, actually. Alex?
Well, it wouldn't be for me to say, would it?
Well, it's for me to say, and I've been here a good number of times, and I love to come back.
Yes, it's a great coastline. I used to travel it by bus, I'm afraid, every day from just outside of Edinburgh all the way past here to North Berwick, where I was an apprentice golf club maker with Ben Sayers, and I used to look over here and long to play on this course.
Now that Duffy Waldorf on your screen there above the scores of other players, alphabetically. -3 he goes to. As he finishes his round, Duffy Waldorf started the day 2 unders. He has a round of 70 then. Very nice indeed. Steve Pate on 16. This is 188-yard par 3.
Pinned back a little bit today, Jim. It's 25, so it's playing 192 yards for the players downwind.
Okay.
Steve with the 6-iron. Obviously, he will not try to land this ball all the way to the flagstick.
Little hot rolling pass downwind.
Hard greens.
Yep. Hard greens and downwind's a tough combination, isn't it? Ian Woosnam, birdie attempt at 12.
Yes, Ian Woosnam at only 5 under now, just slipped back a little bit. Still very much in the championship. And on the low side. He's an inspirational player. When he gets his tail up, gets going, my goodness, what a player he is. But once his sort of chin goes down, he becomes very mediocre.
1 over on today's round.
Yes, I just thought when he saw Faldo's name going along, that would have sort of drawn him in, sucked him in to better golf.
There's Johansson. Oh, bunker to bunker. Well, you may have noticed as these names went by that Nicklaus, who at one point was 5 over, is now 3 over, still fighting to make the cut.
Yes, we never imagined that this man would give up, and hopefully he will still be here. He's a great favorite with the fans. He's allowing quite a lot left to right break on this, down the slope.
Jack.
He didn't allow enough. He needed a bit more than that.
This discouraged walk he has right now, but he's still out there trying. Jack started the day 4 over, now 3 over, so he's actually 1 under on today's round.
Nick Faldo waits at the 15th to play his second shot. It is the par 4, and the last of the holes directly into the breeze. In fact, the wind has swung a little bit more to the southwest. It's coming in off the Lammermuir Hills there.
Faldo has 174 yards. I believe he's thinking about either 4 or 5, depending on how he wants to hit it. If he wants to knock a 5 down, I think it's plenty. I think if he takes a 4 and just hits it normally and up in the air, it would be okay too.
And there's little Fanny Sunison just throwing some more grass up just to help convince. She moves in. I think another decision is about to be made. She's the great companion, a great caddy. And now she's just cheered him up and said, come on, you've got the right one. Don't mess about. It's 5 iron. Knock it in stiff. His game, absolutely still not sure, but he's unhappy a little bit about it. His routine being disturbed. The Muirfield turf is to his liking. He's a good seaside player, obviously, having won here. You see the introduction of the right foot and then the blade together. Faldo characteristic. I think he likes it.
Fair enough. Now Ernie Els, where he attempted the 13th. Trying to move up the board a notch. No. So he'll stay at 7 under. Faldo the leader, and the pursuers, Cook, Pate, Brand, Floyd, Els, and Hammond will be back. Steve Pate, 2 strokes behind, putting for a birdie in the British Open. 2 under for the day, 9 under for the championship, but up ahead of him, Nick Faldo is 6 under for the day, 11 under for the championship. Faldo shot 66 yesterday. If he pars in from here, he'll have a 65 today. But at least on the 17th hole, he certainly has a birdie possibility ahead of him. Lee Trevino. He's on the 16th hole, looking very much like he will make the cut and play the weekend. Yes, that should actually seal it, I would say. He's gone to 1 under the championship, 1 over on today's round. What a marvel he is.
Ian Baker Finch at the 12, just off the green, little sand iron, trying to lob it up, defending champion, and not a very good shot from Ian.
Now Steve Pate for the par. Okay, that's down. Stays at 9 under. And moves along. Now, back on the 13th, the short hole, the par 3, Ian Woosnam. Now, there's a beauty.
Yes, a beautiful shot from Ian. His short iron's his great strength. 8, 9 iron, wonderful player. He really does want to get a couple of birdies in this closing section of the championship in the second round. He's a mighty powerful player. He can handle the holes like 14 and 15 and hopefully pick up something at 17. He didn't do that yesterday. He took 5 when he was within range of 2 at 17, and he took 5 at 18 as well.
Now, the column on the extreme right is the score for today. On the left, for the championship, Nick Faldo 11 under the championship, 6 under today. John Cook had a round of 67, for example, 4 under for today to go 9 under. There you see Steve Pate, 2 under this afternoon. Gordon Brand had a 68, 3 under for today. Ray Floyd shot an even par 71. Ernie Els is currently 2 under, 7 under the championship. Donnie Hammond shot 65. What a round in the wind.
They're in a country
Now
I'll never get in. Are you crazy? Are they still here?
Listen to Lee, still chattering on.
They shouldn't be here. They're 2 holes behind. What the hell are they waiting on? You see how long it's taken? Bernhardt's grown a beard. He's been Can you imagine? You think it's taking them long to play? I mean, Bernhard was clean shaven when they teed off this one.
He's talking about longer.
Man, he's got a beard this long. They've been out here a week. Okay?
You heard that, Jim.
I heard it, for sure. We heard
He's been
it
out
all.
here so long, he took him a week to play, and he grew a beard.
That's right.
You know, Trevino wanted me to mention that the crowds have been unbelievably gracious, and he hasn't heard a lot of the hollering, "You're the man," all week.
That's
These are the
good.
greatest golf galleries in the world.
They sure are.
Perfect drive. He's on a roll now.
He's got the gulls carrying on out there, too.
Yes, I hope all they do is sing.
I would hope so, too.
But Steve
Having
Pate.
looked at some of the rocks out in the Firth there.
Yes, that marquee right at the end, right over this golf ball, that large camera tower, that's the perfect line at 17. That with a little draw on it. He set it off there. Beautiful tee shot.
Boy, that is a good one there. Left side of the fairway, right where you want to be.
Now the birdie attempt of Nick Faldo, the leader, at 15. Oh, goodness, another birdie for Nick Faldo. He goes to 12 under, 7 under for the day. Well, as you said, when he gets it going, it's hard to stop.
Oh, yes, he's absolute machine. Let's have a look at this lovely swing again in slow motion. I'm fascinated because of for an overswing yet with no left heel lift. Let's watch it as he moves into the back swing. Nice rhythm, beautiful shoulder turn starting, lovely wrist action starting. Still the left heel is down. At that point, you think, well, he's going to limit the swing, but no, it continues on. A great wrist cock well over horizontal. Now, of course, he's got to get the arms in towards the body as he comes down to stay inside of the ball, because he did draw it in there. Beautiful approach into the shot from the inside. Lovely stuff.
It's just about 6 o'clock in the evening. 6 o'clock in the evening on the Ayrshire coast of Scotland. The British Open continues on and will in the lingering daylight for the next couple of hours. We'll be here for another hour. I'd like to thank Alex Hay of the BBC for joining me. I'm Jim McKay for the last hour. Time now again to turn you over to Brunt Musburger, having the time of his life on the Ayrshire coast this week, huh?
Sure I am, Jim. Thank you very much. You know, when this championship started, we discussed who was #1 in the world. The international rankings said Fred Couples and Nick Faldo, less than a point apart. There can be no argument here tonight. Fred Couples has failed to make the cut in the British Open. Nick Faldo now is on pace for the lowest second round total in the history of the British Open. 121 years old, and we are watching history perhaps being authored here, Steve Melnick, by the man who unquestionably now tonight is #1 in the world.
He's made 6 birdies and an eagle in a round that has simply not given up many low scores throughout the day. I think his dominance is clearly coming to the fore right now, Brent.
Boy, I certainly echoed Jim's sentiments when he had it when Faldo went for the eagle. What a brilliant golf shot that was here earlier today. One of the finest we've seen, and now let's watch him again. On the par 3 green there, and certainly he would have a roll for even another birdie, but a failure there, and he would settle for a gentle par. He has blown away his counterpart here from Wales. Ian Woosnam has slipped back, Steve.
Yeah, but he's hanging in there. Don't write him off just yet.
You must have heard me say.
I like Ian.
So there is our situation. John Cook and Gordon Brand Jr. at 9 under look so strong. Steve Pate, he worked it to 10 under. Lost a couple, got one back, and yet at 9 under par, they are 3 back of Nick Faldo right now. So, Steve Melnick, there are some other stories unfolding out on the course, and the one that I really am most intrigued about is the performance of Jack Nicklaus. About 2 hours ago, we had him boarding Air Nicklaus and heading back home to Florida, but the man has a chance to battle back. This would be remarkable for him.
I think at the start of the show, we packed his bags for him. It was
Called
not
it a career.
It was not a pretty performance early on, but you can't write him off. I mean, his experience, his 20 major championships wins. his pride, Brent. That's the real key. He's playing on pride right now because he's not playing very well.
Well, he is out there in the Ian Woosnam group, and certainly if he can get himself one more birdie coming in, you would think that we would have him. You know, he's only failed to make the cut one time in 30. This is his 31st. So only once in 30 British Open championships has Nicklaus failed to make it through to Saturday and Sunday.
He plays so well over here because Open Championship golf is one that's instinctive. It's intuitive. You don't really play by numbers, if you will. So Nicklaus is a perfect player for the type of conditions these players are facing thus far this week.
Larry Rinker with a superb round. And don't count the U.S. Open champion out either. Tom Kite will start the weekend at 3 under. But Nick Faldo is simply starting to pull away from everyone.
In 1987, the Open Championship was played here, and Faldo won. And here we are 5 years later. I think we really saw the beginning of the Faldo era here 5 years ago, Brent. He's been the class act in professional golf in the last 5 years.
Lee Trevino will make it. They had projected that 1 over. And as a whole, even though Freddie Couples and Davis Love have both failed to get through the cut, as a whole, the American players have performed quite strongly. We'll bring you some of the numbers on that here in the final hour of our coverage today in this cut-down day. Top 70, anybody within 10 of the lead, but folks, that's not going to matter at all with the number that Nick Faldo's putting on the board. You forget about that. Orrin Vincent, nice story there. American playing on the European Tour out of the University of Washington, and he will compete over the weekend. John Daly on the bubble through 12. 1 over, but he certainly has a chance. Now, second shot, and we go out to pick up Steve Payton.
258 yards with a 2-iron. Wind behind him, pin on the front right. Needs to take it in from left to right if he's going to get it close. That's too much cut.
Jerry, I was impressed with the fact that Pate hit a 3-wood off the tee. Ordinarily, a player of Pate's length could hit this green with a mid-iron, but he instead chose to go with a 3-wood, put the ball in play off the tee.
Now, Ernie Els, birdie attempt at 14. At 15, we have let Els clean this up, and now let's go to Mark Brooks' birdie attempt.
Good pairing for Mark, being paired with Seve. Brooks a better shot maker than people give him credit for being. Well done. So Mark Brooks moves to red figures.
Now Paul Azinger, this is for a par at 18.
A lot of people like his chances over here. Maybe that's why, huh?
Slipped in, didn't it? B.J. Singh, who has been in this trio, had an eagle back there at 17, came alive a little bit, and he will slip through to the weekend. But Tom Watson, who's in this trio, a 5-time British Open champion, not going to make it. Tough day for him. Now this is Ian Baker Finch, birdie attempt at 13.
He has not made a putt all week long, and he rode the putter to his win last year at Birkdale. What a difference a year makes. Struggling to make the cut as Faldo has now opened up a huge lead on this field and over Baker Finch.
So we will leave last year's winner and join this year's leader. He came in today as the 4-1 favorite. Hard to say what they'll drop him to tomorrow. 3-1, 2-1.
Nick has about a 40-footer here coming up the hill. This is one of the few times all day he has not been pin high. His distance has been marvelous, and that means he's hitting the ball solidly.
Trevino's third at 17.
Well, he hit a good-looking second in here, Brent, but it just caught one of these humps and mounds and slowed it down. He has about 90 feet left with a little bump and run shot, and I would imagine he's going to take this one down low. Matter of fact, he's going to hit it so low he's going to hit his putter, looks like. He does, has his putter out, and you don't see much of this in America, do you, Steve?
No, it's a pleasure to see the options that you can play around greens. In the States, we typically can't do this.
Boy, what great touch.
And you can't teach someone to do that. That's an instinctive shot, one based on feel.
Steve Pate with a very good lie, but a very difficult bunker shot. The bunker is way above him, shooting downhill. Hard to stop it out of there. He didn't waste any time hitting that one either.
Ian Woosnam's second shot at 14. Treacherous hole.
Sit. Sit.
To catch the flagstick on the way by.
That's a good look at 14 plays dead into the prevailing wind today. The toughest hole on the golf course the past 2 days. Those 3 bunkers on the left are those you want to avoid. From there, as you can see, it's a long iron second to a green, which you can run it on.
Faldo cleaning up here at 16. Stays at 12 under. Now, Jack Nicklaus drove it into the bunker at 14, had to pitch out, so this is his third shot.
Well, the 3 bunkers we talked about, unfortunately, have come into play here. For Jack, I don't think he can afford to make a bogey in hopes of making the cut.
He stands 3 up right now, Steve. The last time Frank Hannigan checked the computer, and he's confirming 1 over is the cut, and he stands at 3, so he's got to get it done now.
Yeah, and you don't get it up and down from about 170 yards into the wind for par. And he must do that and make 2 birdies with 4 holes left after this one. Though. Left himself a putt for par.
That par 5, 17 is still up the road. You would think about that hole in terms of at least a birdie opportunity for Jack there. Now Trevino's birdie attempt at 17. Just before that, while Nicklaus was playing, this was Pate's attempt for a birdie here at 17. So he remains 3 back of Nick Faldo.
Pretty disappointed, though, Brent. He drove it perfectly and really didn't leave himself a good effort to make birdie. There you get a look at the 17th hole. The second or actually the 3rd and 4th bunkers on the left are those you need to avoid off the tee.
Faldo at the tee.
Aiming right.
The man's a machine.
That was a 3-wood, Brent. Just perfect.
Rossi's at the top of his game.
Sure is.
12 under par. Only the 2nd round of the British Open.
Back now with Ian Woosnam, and as he gets ready here for his third shot at the 14th, you know, we work hand in hand with the BBC, and our colleague Peter Alice is working with Alex Hay, and let's join them for their coverage. Here's how it looks and sounds.
That squirted away. It was lying a little bit down, and that really was, that shot away. It was indeed, well, it was, look at that, 15 feet by. A bit clumsy.
This is Lanny Watkins at the 18th. He's come up short in 2, and like so many wise golfers before him, has decided to hit it with a putter. He's 4 under. 2 under for his round today. This for a 68. Should swing across the green a wee bit with the wind. Grandstand's protecting it too much. Good putt though. Seen 1 or 2 experienced shots with putters.
18th tee, Steve Pate. Must avoid the big bunkers left and right. Mild applause, deserved better than that. And there you saw that one stop very quickly. Whether he played fairway wood from the tee, he's by far the shortest of the 3.
15th hole, Ernie Els of South Africa, going so well. Now 7 under. And oh dear, as leisurely as it looks, that could be to the right, it could be in bunkers, it could be... yes, it is. It's going to end up in the sand with the most awkward stance. I don't know how you'll get 6 feet 3 of him into there with that ball. That was a slack shot, and he knows it.
Now Trevino at the 18th. What memories he's got of this tee shot. Spanks one away, and he charges it down the fairway. And Trevino now 2 under. And after that good drive, he's sure to be playing at the weekend.
Craig Parry and caddy Andy Prodger. And we look back from the green, and really having the flag on the very front of the green, some people might think it makes it easier. It does not. It means you've got to be bouncing the ball on the fairway. Thank goodness Muirfield is renowned for its honesty. The approaches to the green flat, leveled, and reasonably true. I would think for Parry, with all the power in those forearms of his, he can get up here with perhaps a 3 or 4 iron.
250 yards.
Just a little change.
I was thinking 3 all the way.
There you are. Discussion, and I think the 3 is okay. That is the 3. You'll see how he seems to swing up and then as though across the ball. You'd think he was almost going to say, doesn't do that. He gets a wee bit out to in as he comes down, but it's the way he plays everything. And he's not a bad striker. You see the little loop and the hit across the ball, hitting it clean, trying to fade it in, I think. It's a beautiful shot, but just watch what happens now. It's always easier here when the pin's right at the very back of the green.
Wisdom at the 14th is for a par 4. No. Good second shot, but just through the back of the green, 3 to get down. So you could say fractionally unlucky for Ian there to take 3 from the edge after a cracking second.
Steve Pate just preparing for his second shot at the last hole, and really what a remarkably short tee shot he hit. There's a little bit of a hold up there. It's the last thing he needs right now.
It's going to be a very long second shot, Alex, as you rightly mentioned, not too far off the tee for him here, and he coming into the wind off the right side as well. He's got just over 220 to go. That's going to play a 1-iron, I would suggest. If he's taking a 2, it's a very good one.
Faldo at the 17th.
Nick Faldo, having hit a 3-wood off the tee, 227 yards to go to the front. I think this is only going to be about a 5-iron. He went to have a good look at it. It's going slightly left, and he's slightly underclubbed, and he's gone into the semi-rough there. Short left of the green, and wasn't quite how he worked it out at all. But still opened up the... He's missed it on the right, on the left-hand side, which is the right side to miss it.
Well, that's the first scruffy shot we've seen from Nick for a while. I think he may have underclubbed, got the ball a bit too high. It wasn't a sort of cutty runner, which you might have felt able to play at that time.
Steve Pate then ready with the 1-iron at the last hole. He's hit one out of the neck a couple of holes back, and he's getting a little annoyed. You know, these long, slow swings, once they get under pressure, they're vulnerable. You know, see what he's left himself to do? That shot that slides away to the right.
So our thanks to our colleagues at the BBC for that bit of coverage. And Steve Pate, the man known as the volcano, starts to erupt here on the 18th, doesn't he? He trails Nick Faldo by 3, and we'll be right back. No, we're back here at Muirfield with Steve Melnick and Brett Musburger. This is Steve Pate marching up to his ball, which is golfer's right side and short here on the 18th.
No real surprise that he has played well here. Brett, he controls the ball well in the wind. He is a streaky putter. You know, the term volcano fits more his temper, but I think in a sense it fits the volatility of his play on the greens.
Got into a bit of a hassle with a water cooler during the U.S. Open back at Pebble Beach.
Remember, he was in an automobile accident last fall, really couldn't compete as a Ryder Cup member.
Well, Steve, all he wants to do right now is hit this little bump and run up on the green and get a 4 and get out of here. You know, it's he's let a few slip away coming down the back 9, and it's very important that he hits this ball close.
If there is a weakness in American players' games, it is shots like that, simply because they're not often asked to play them.
So Nick Faldo, who stands at 12 under, opened with a 66. Now he is 7 under for the day and on track for a new record. Low second round score.
Nick has a reasonably easy shot. The wind is coming out of the right. He's just got to, it kind of funnels up to the hole from where he is. He's going to pitch this ball a little to the right and let it break onto the left. Land it just short of the green. Not a very good effort right there. Got to be disappointed in that shot.
Now John Daly with a birdie attempt at the 14th hole. He is at 1 over par, right at the cut line.
He has been fodder for the 4th estate this week. Brent, you had some interesting observations?
Well, the Daily Telegraph wrote paunchy. That's how they described his look out on the course. He looked like he was from Paris, Texas, rather than Paris, France. They were quite rude, I thought. We would never be rude, would we, in our 4th estate coverage of their players?
It's a different brand of journalism over here, Brent.
15th hole now. We're looking back. Fairway and chip back. Let's take a look at Els here on the 16th tee, although he is backed away.
Remember about a month ago, Peter Allis told us at Muirfield that this is the young man to watch in the upcoming months, and sure enough, that premonition has come true.
Actually, Steve, his game reminds me a little bit of Nick Faldo's. Very similar build.
Missed with that one here on the par 3 now. Nicklaus's second shot at the 15 stands at 4 over, and he's a long shot to get through to Saturday, isn't he, Steve?
Well, right now the odds certainly against me. Lost that to the right. The wind's carrying it farther right.
Steve Pate finishing up and missing the putt. And
I wonder if he didn't maybe lay back too far because he left himself with such a long second shot that was a result of bogey there.
Oh, it drops 4 behind Nick Faldo. This is about the shakiest hole you've watched Faldo turn in right now, Rossi.
Yes, he was a little undecided, I think, on how to play his second. He decided to take a 5-iron and hit it real hard, and he didn't catch it real solid, and it went left on him.
Happy to move on to the next one. Rossi, as things now stand, it would be Faldo and John Cook in the final pairing tomorrow. How will John Cook hold up against him eyeball to eyeball?
Well, it's going to be very difficult playing on this side of the ocean, Brent, but John Cook, you know, he's won 2 tournaments this year. He's played beautifully over here. He's a cool guy. I would think that he would hold up with Faldo. It just depends upon whether you make a few putts, you know.
Now we see Woosnam in the grass at 15, his second.
Anyway, get out. Flyer. Get out. Flyer.
Going up over the green, and certainly has been inconsistent with his play today. Shot a 65, but he's 1 over on the afternoon. Back in a moment. "43 Americans in the field of 156. 25 have already made the cut, and 11 have slipped by the wayside, including Fred Couples and Davis Love. Curtis Strange, Tom Watson don't make it. Now it's Jack Nicklaus' 3rd shot at the 15th. He needs to get down to 1 over. This was moments ago.
Well, tough line that deep grass over there.
Now Woozy.
Playing with Jack Nicklaus.
Yes, well, the wind picked up early this morning here in Scotland, but the rains stopped. There was some overnight moisture. Prediction is for some light rain tomorrow afternoon during the 3rd round, and we'll take you down now through the scoreboard. Very disappointing tournaments for the championship performance by Couples and Davis Love. They'd expected a lot more when they came here. Now here's Els' second shot.
Had a pretty good lie left to the green here at 16. Really going along very well right now.
Hard to believe he was just 22 years old, Mark.
Really excellent composure. Had a horrible lie in the greenside bunker back at 15. Made an excellent par there.
This is Mitchell, who's playing alongside Faldo.
He's pretty long, Brent. He just hit a drive in an 8-iron at the last hole.
Fosse, don't you think sometimes it's a chance to showcase your talents when you play with a player like Faldo?
Oh, I think it's a great opportunity for somebody like Mitchell, and he's performed very well. I'm very proud of him.
There's a world of confidence for him, too. Craig Perry next to play.
Nicholas at 15. This is for a par.
Trying to hang on to that last glimmer of hope to make the cut. Now all he can hope for is a birdie and possibly an eagle at 17, but even then it'll be close.
Our leader. So safely away here at the 18th. Grandstand filling up, waiting the arrival of Nick Faldo. Is Steve Pate now with a 64 and a 70. He's down below with Frank Hannigan, so let's go to Frank.
Very much in it with 2 rounds to go, 8 under, but there was a particular kind of shot that seemed to plague you on the back 9, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I kept hitting long irons weak and right like I did the last hole. I pulled that shot out 4 times today. 3 times on the back and 1 time on the front. Didn't do me a lot of good.
I'd ask you how do you cure it, but you say if you knew how to cure it, you wouldn't do it.
That's right. I wouldn't be hitting it. I'm going to go out to the range and see if I can figure something out.
But it seemed pretty exciting. And sitting back here as you walk down 18, maybe you got a little touch of that famous British Open grandstand greeting. Were you aware of that as you walked down 18?
Oh yeah, there's no other place like the 18th hole at this tournament, and especially today, since I played well yesterday and Faldo's behind me and Langer's in front of me, the stands are full. You know, it's always nice walking up the last hole here.
You lost a couple of shots on 13 and 14, and it looked like I might really get away, and then a good thing happened on 15. We're going to show that to you. Why don't you tell us about it off the edge of the green?
All right, well, I hit a good tee shot and not too bad a second shot to there. I misjudged the wind a little bit, and so you can see the ball jumped up in the air coming out of the fringe and somehow rolled right in.
Terrific. Now, you said are you going to go over to the range and work on a particular thing?
Yeah, hitting it in the middle of the club face. I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible.
Well, and tomorrow, well, have you been in the last group or next to last group in any of the majors yet?
No, I haven't. Never have. Every good finish I've had has been a good round on Sunday.
I suspect you can handle it. Good luck, Steve.
All right, thanks.
So now you can see the grandstand starting to fill up here around the 18th green as they await the arrival of Nick Faldo on what would be a record-setting performance, the lowest 36 holes to start the British Open. 132. Faldo has a share of it. He did it at St. Andrews. Now let's go back here and watch Woosnam for par at 15.
What a very good effort there, Brent.
He's really fallen back today and very unhappy with his round. Els at 16 for par.
This 16th, a very treacherous green right now. Larry Mize 3-putted a moment ago, and so did Per Erwig Johansson for double bogey. So even though this is not a longish putt, it's a tough one. Els putting directly into the wind. It's going to break just to his right. Needs to hit it firmly. Good putt.
Perry is waiting there in the fairway here at 18. He is at 4 under par. So the young Australian will play here on Saturday and Sunday as his distance is set to go. Rossi.
Craig is 195. He's played a good solid round, but he just hasn't made very many putts. He made a putt for an eagle back at the 5th hole, and aside from that, that was about it for the day.
Short of the green, and the Mitchell was the first player to hit in that group, and now the third will be Nick Faldo.
Nick is 180 yards. Wind in his face and out of the right, but a little more in his face than it's been most of the day. It is turning around. Nick has a 4-iron here.
He hit this one very powerful. Wind held it up beautifully. Wonderful shot by Nick Faldo. He'll start his march up, breathing a sigh of relief. He'll be our second round leader, and we'll come back. We are back, and the Union Jack flapping in the breeze. This was the walk-up by Nick Faldo. Wonderful round of golf in the wind, Steve.
Maybe a player whose personality is misunderstood, but certainly not his golf game.
So he will take the lead to tomorrow's third round, and he will be with John Cook in the final pairing. This is Perry coming up.
There's a certain irony to this pairing. Perry's caddy, Andy Prodger, caddied for Faldo when he won the British Open. Knows this game well.
Here's Woozy at 16, reeling a bit, isn't he?
Very difficult to hit it flag high, and yet you heard Rossi say that Faldo hit it flag high most of the day.
John Daly now at 2 over par and struggling to get through to the weekend. There, gets him back on track.
Yeah, he's got the downwind holes. He's got a shot at making this cut.
Mitchell at 18. Larry Mize out on the course, 1 over par. Mark Brooks 1 under. Chip Beck 1 under. All of them battling to get through.
Mitchell a chance to share in some way center stage with this record-setting performance here. Faldo on track to set the 36-hole record here at the British Open.
Peter Sr. back on the tee here at 18. He's 3 under, so he will qualify. Another of the Australians. Safely away at the 18th. Now the lowest 36-hole total at the British Open. Henry Cotton did it in 1934, equaled it later. Greg Norman did it, and then Nick Faldo. Those are the only 3, and Faldo could smash that by a couple of shots if he can drop this putt now. It's a par 71, remember? This for a 130.
But for a quarter turn.
So there's the record.
Marvelous.
Great stuff. Put a 64 on the board in the breezes off the Firth of Forth. The man who now reigns as the #1 professional golfer in the world is Freddie Couples. Can't get through to the final 2 rounds. Faldo will tee off tomorrow with a 3-stroke lead. Jack Whitaker, it's been wonderful here today, hasn't it?
Well, it has. The second longest day, Brent, and what it does, and the British Open is doing it more and more every year. In the last 2 days, we'll have great representation from the European Tour, from the American Tour, and from the Australians. It's going to be a final great 2 days. Cook and Brand getting off early to set the lead today, then Donnie Hammond getting into it. But of course, this second round will be remembered because of Nick Faldo. And I think the sharpest memory will be the second shot at number 9. A shot that had a majesty that only accompanies champions of major tournaments. It was the key that unlocked the confidence closet. And you could see the confidence oozing out of every pore as Nick Faldo made the turn for home. I know there's a lot of golf to be played between now and Sunday evening, but on this Friday evening here at Muirfield, this member of the British Empire is certainly the strongest presence in this championship.
Jack, I certainly agree with you. That seemed to energize everybody, didn't it? Us up here in the booth, all the spectators, those out there. Now, Woosnam, who certainly fell away. This is effort here at 16 to get a birdie in. Has not been Woosy's day. He has slipped to 4 under par and fallen 8 back of his rival. Nick Faldo on another record pace here.
When Watson shot 268 at Turnberry in 1977, many folks that had followed this game for so many years thought maybe that was an impregnable record, but here we are with Faldo needing only a pair of 69s the last 2 days to tie that record.
Now Woosnam for par at the par 3 16th.
Oh, he's trying to wish it in instead of stroke it in. He has really lost his confidence now on the green.
Seve here at 18. He is at 1 over par, so some big moments here for Severino.
He's so far back, he needs a cab ride to get home in 2 here at 18. British Open wouldn't be the same without Seve somewhere among the crowd.
Well, the other thing that makes Nick Faldo in such a strong position is all the great players who have fallen away today.
Well, you consider, and I know this is probably unfair, but he's beaten Davis Love by 20 shots in 2 days. Freddie by 18 shots in 2 days.
Woosnam no longer there.
Woosy's fallen away very quickly.
So they're going to turn this over to John Cook tomorrow. Steve Pate, Gordon Brand, and let us not forget one Raymond Floyd, who is at 7 under.
Seve standing at 1 over. desperately needs par.
Has to save par.
Well, very nearly got a photographer.
Moving it up ahead of that right rough. And now John Daly at the par 3 16th. He's right on the cut line.
His forearms are going to be sore after this week. This ground is so firm. He takes such deep divots, or attempts to anyway.
That may have trickled into that bunker there at Greenside. Playing alongside Sam Torrance. Great Britain. Faldo, our leader. We'll be right back. So we are back here and wrapping up the second round of our British Open coverage here at Muirfield. Jack Nicklaus at the 17th tee.
He needed more of those this week. Jack needs to.
Now it's Els, with an eagle opportunity here at the par 5 17th.
This putt's from about 35 feet. Down the hill, going to break to his right. If he gets that one in, it'll get him to 8 under.
Now, let's see, Ian Woosnam. Well, not in the deep stuff over there, is he, this time? John Daly chipped it up at 16.
Well, right now, Brent, we can confirm that the cut is at 1 over. There are already 63 players in the clubhouse. And it might slip to 2 over, but right now it's 1 over to be safe.
So Daly cannot afford an error. He has the 17th to look at, though. That's a big one for John. He can birdie that hole here today. Now let's run back down through the scoreboard here, Steve.
Well, we said it before. Nick Faldo's 36-hole record here stands for itself. Olafable, watch out for him. Sandy Lyle having a good Open Championship. And Tom Kite, Brant, following up his win at the Open at Pebble Beach at 3 under par. Russ Cochran, a player that Paul Azinger likes in the win. He's at 3 under par. Lee Jansen came over and playing very well. Chip back, gotten to 2 under par. Jody Mudd always plays well here at the British Open. BJ Singh, the graceful player, many think perhaps destined for greatness. David Faraday, the Northern Irishman. Danny Neovic, the Canadian, Brent, playing well this week. Steve Richardson with a fine round today. Moved back into the tournament. Fred Funk, nice to see him make the cut. Rocco Median, another one. Gordon Vincent, after a good round yesterday, struggled today. Greg Norman made the cut, but barely. And Corey Faven had problems today. Larry Mize at one time under par, opened his round with a double bogey on the first hole today. It's now 1 over through 15. Jeff Sluman, our runner-up in the Open Championship. We think that's probably the cut line. All those at +1 or better should be comfortable. Those at +2 make alternate plans. Brent, they're still playing the last game of the day. Went out at 4:20. Nicholson Strange in an unfamiliar position.
So our British Open coverage
moves tomorrow to ABC. Live third round coverage. It'll begin at 10 a.m. Eastern. The fourth round will be on Sunday starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Coming up next on ESPN will be the semifinal matches of the United States Amateur Public Links Championship, known as America's Blue Collar Championship. This event is being played at Edinburgh, USA, a Robert Trent Jones course, Brooklyn Park, Minnesota. This Thursday and Friday, the United States Women's Open Championship will begin from the Oakmont Country Club in Oakmont, Pennsylvania. This is the first time that Oakmont has hosted the Women's Championship, and this should be some show out there with the new powerful women on that circuit. Coverage begins Thursday. The United States Women's Open Championship, Oakmont, Pittsburgh, 12 p.m. Eastern. Now a reminder, stay tuned. It's stage 12 of the Tour de France. This one covers 179 grueling miles. And it'll be seen at 5 p.m. Eastern Time today on ESPN. For all of us here, the Firth of Forth, we bid you good evening, and we'll see you tomorrow, the third round of the British Open. So long, everybody.